Oh, wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys taking the time to be here always. Been a while since I've been live with you like this. So, hey, what's up? Hope you guys been chilling, been doing good. If you're with family or if you've just been chilling, hopefully it's been a good time for you. All right. If you're working, hey man, I appreciate you hard workers out there because I know how it is. Hey, what's up, family? Now, listen, this is very important to what I'm gonna say. Okay. Okay. And if you tuned in, uh, not during the live, I'm talking to my live chat sometimes, in case you're wondering who I'm talking to. Listen, so I'm gonna give a message to at Living Noble, right? And who else? Uncle Pone. You guys are listening, right? Since you want to keep giving opinions. Living Noble, are you listening to me? Let me see. Say yes. When you got my attention, when I got your attention. Let me know when I got your attention, Living Noble. Before I even begin, I'm gonna prove something to you guys. We're gonna see how real people are. Hey, Living Noble, let me know when you have my attention. Are you done giving opinion? Let me know when you're paying attention to me. You want to give opinions? I'm asking you right now. Are you listening? Can you hear me? Pay attention. Can you acknowledge that you can hear me? Living Noble, 6645. Because you want to keep giving opinions before I even start. Okay. That's what I thought. All right. So guys, if he keeps giving the same stuff, just time him out for 24 hours. If he's not disrespectful, just time him out for 24 hours. We're here we're going to learn. We're done with all these opinions, the same ones that people are carrying for years. I'm going to debunk all that. Today, live, we're going to make history again. Here we go. This ain't debating. Exactly. We don't debate when we got sources, man. Thank you. Apologies, guys. I'm a dragon, you know what I mean? I'm a jaguar and a dragon, so we don't play. Not today, man, because this is the whole point of today's video. We're gonna debunk all that. It wasn't him, it wasn't his uncle, it wasn't his grandma, it wasn't his Uncle Tom, it wasn't nobody. There is no sources specifically that state that or can prove that. I'm going to show you what there is, what is historical and what was added later on, admittedly, by many scholars will tell you. Real scholars. So I hope you guys are actually here to learn and empty your cup. Stop with the opinions. I haven't even started. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the respect. I appreciate if you come in here, come with an open mind. Okay? We're going to go through some sources here, right? We're going to go through some sources and what the sources say. This is the original of literally the original where they get in the story from, and we're going to see who he is, what time period this is, what it actually says, not what others say in modern history. Listen, it's not about motivation for debunking, because listen, we're correcting history. Don't be all salty about that, Mr. Von Dutch. If you've been watching me for 9 years, you would know what we do here. We teach real history. And if debunking false narratives happens, that's just it. That's just what it is. Because a lot of these false narratives become truths to people and they use it to try to debate you. And it's like silly going back and forth with people that got no real research. Don't even understand what they're been told. It's false. Never been proven. They just repeat it because it's music to their ears, man. And it's personal beliefs. And I get it. It's emotional for you guys. But so if this is too emotional for you guys, you don't have to watch. You can go on to Alice in Wonderland and live your life and believe whatever you want. Believe whatever you want. Okay. Most people, most people Google Mansa Musa and they get Wikipedia, right? They get this, right? So nobody's debating that he wasn't a real person, right? That's not what I'm debating here. Okay? There is a historical person. Mansa means king, that's a title. And the Musa, supposedly his name, right? And it has a meaning, right? Like I looked it all up, right? But there is a historical in this region. Nobody's debating this stuff. Okay? And I just want to also say that just because we do videos like this, it doesn't mean we hate Africans. It doesn't mean we're trying to like go at people. This is an opportunity for you to learn something, some real history, have real context. This channel may not be for everybody. We're not over here trying to be politically correct. We're not over here trying to sugarcoat stuff. We all got biases, but at least I'm trying to show you where my biases led to in my investigation and research, and I'm showing you the sources. I've been doing that for the last 9 years. Okay, so I'm sorry that this has to be such a long introduction, but it happened right away. Even before I started, I knew it. I knew somebody was going to start giving opinions, or somebody was going to take it personal, or even before I even started. You don't know me, obviously. We do this with love and passion. We do this for the good. We ain't doing this to try to make people upset. Truth hurts, though. I understand. Truth hurts. Especially if you believe something that you thought was true all your life and you invested in it, you studied in it, you put money into it, you make money off it. I get it. But this ain't about that. Nobody cares about emotions, all right? So I'm sorry to say that and be so real about it, but hey, that's how it is, man. Y'all want to live on a belief system and belief only and belief land and fantasy land, false, not just beliefs. That's good. You don't have to be here. Okay, so Mansa Musa supposedly, right? This is Wikipedia, remember. This is what I'm just showing you what people study, right? Musa's reign is often regarded as the zenith of Mali's power. Musa was sexually wealthy, okay? All this stuff we're not debating. I'm not debating any of this stuff, right? So, you know, we got an interesting conversation here with ChatGPT, actually for several days, but I actually came back to it. So the other day, I was trying to look for the sources. So I was using ChatGPT to help me look for the primary sources that this story comes from, right? So I kind of saved a little bit of the conversation and I continued it today, and I'm going to show you what the sources say. Okay, I got the sources, guys, so don't think it's just ChatGPT. All right, but you got to understand why I use ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is like the scholarly, debatable person on the other side that tries to debate me, right? Because it's programmed with the hijack. It's programmed with out of Africa theories, right? So we have to introduce sources and truth to it so it can become logical. So eventually it can spill the beans, right? And it's gonna do that majorly, right? And we're gonna show the sources again. So I'm going back in time. This was about maybe 4 or 5 days ago. I was conversating with ChatGPT. If you don't believe, I didn't write this, guys. If you don't believe any of this, then don't believe it. I don't care. You can look it up. Eventually, you're gonna see and verify everything that I show you today. Don't just believe me. Believe whatever you think is the source. Whatever you. Oh, that I'm gonna do my. Okay, go ahead. Good for you. It's been years. Why haven't you done it before? Okay. It took me 2-3 days just to do this. The two days to really, actually, it was a very fast conversation I had with ChatGPT, but I didn't just want the conversation. I wanted to show the sources. So anyways, hey, I'm back. Yeah, it's me. Supposedly Christmas or Saturnalia, really, but I'm geeked. This is when it was Christmas. I was like, hey, listen, supposedly, right? He's like, so I start talking about oranges was Christmas. I'm like, all right, I get all that. Okay, anyways. It says, point me at the mystery and what they says, okay, this is what I told him. It says, okay, let's be informative using only primary sources or historical records, contemporaneous or close to that time period. No conjectures or third-party modern websites for interpretations. The subject is Mansa Musa from Africa coming to America. What is real versus what is myth? Pay attention, all right? If you're here to learn, if you want to debunk me, you think I'm missing something, you'll see. Wait till the end. It says understood. This is the ChatGPT. I should have highlighted my part. So this is again, that's my part, right? Understood. I'll stick to documented primary sources or near contemporaneous historical records. And clearly separate what is attested and what is not. No modern reinterpretations, no speculations, scope clarification. Claims to evaluate. Mansa Musa from the 1300s, right? Or Malians reached Americas before Columbus. That's what we're gonna study today, all right? This is a lesson. Get your notes, everything, or just pay attention, right? Standard of evidence, medieval or early post-medieval written records, close in time to the events produced by identifiable historical actors. We're talking about primary sources, which is where he's gonna look for. My fault. What the primary sources actually say. Mansa Musa himself, there are no surviving writings by Mansa Musa. Right away, guys, okay? So right away, you gotta understand one simple thing. There is no writings, Arabic, whatever language from those times, and there's many, there's thousands, guys. There is thousands of Arabic. Most of early records for West Africa or Africa, North Africa is Arabic records. In my playlist, Africans Not From Africa, I'm showing you why. I'm showing you where these people are really coming from, who are the true pure Arabs. You guys gotta understand, there's a lot for you to understand that you're missing context with. Where do all these nations really come from in Africa? That's one thing we're not even gonna talk about today, but just remember that, right? Who are these people really? They're not even that, they're really not indigenous to Africa. Okay, let's not forget that, right? That's gonna hit a lot of people hard right there, especially if they haven't watched the videos, right? Anyways, so he has no surviving writings by Mansa Musa. All information about him comes from external observers, mainly North African and Middle Eastern scholars. So Al-Umari, who died in 1349, primary and closest source. From what work? The Masalik al-Abasar fi Malik al-Amsar, right? That's this right here. Masalik al-Absar fi Malik al-Amsar, written by Umari, Al-Umari, 1300s. This is a 1710 version. Okay? You following so far? Okay. Al-Umari personally interviewed people who, this is something that I'm gonna point this out. I'm gonna go a little step by step with you guys. You're gonna see this is a fourth-hand account. Anyways, Al-Umari personally interviewed people who met Mansa Musa in Cairo. He met some people in Cairo, that's not even Mali, right? Including officials at the Maluk court. What Al-Umari records, Mansa Musa ruled Mali. We're good with that. His immense wealth, especially gold, yep, we're good with that. His pilgrimage to Mecca, we're also good with that. This is all written down. His administration and diplomacy, we're good with all that. That we can prove. We're not debating none of that. This is a very wealthy African, so-called African king at that time. It says relevant passage, paraphrase, not quoted verbatim. Mansa Musa stated that his predecessor, so the person that was ruling before him, right? His predecessor, we're gonna show who this was. Sent 2 expeditions into the Atlantic. So this is again not from Mansa Musa himself. This is from Al-Umari, right? Who interviewed people in Cairo, and they told him that. They told him this, right? So you can follow along. He said, she said. He said that he said that he said that he. There's 3 he said's right there. These are 3, literally 4. Watch, the ChatGPT is gonna admit all this. Watch, don't worry about it. Just stay tuned, guys. Stay there. We're just getting started. Get the popcorn. We're gonna break this down. The first returned, the second did not. So that's the story that they're going over, right? Supposedly from Al-Umari. The predecessor then abdicated and left with the fleet, never to return. Key point. This was not Mansa Musa. First of all, right away, it wasn't Mansa Musa, so don't say Mansa Musa came. First of all, this was not Mansa Musa, first of all, because it's supposed to be Mansa Musa talking about it, telling another person that told another person, right? And he's talking about his predecessor, not himself. And it says the unnamed predecessor is generally identified as Abu Bakr. This is what people try to add. They try to add this person. I'm going to show you that's also false. What Al-Umari does not say. No claim of reaching land. No mention of America. No description of contact people or return. No claim that Musa himself traveled west. We got another source here. I'm going to show you guys. These are the three main sources. Okay? This is the thing we're going to get into. The 13th and 14th century kings of Mali by N. Levitsion. He's one of the most modern scholars that has the most in-depth research on this empire and a lot of African nations. We've read his books in my Africans Not From Africa video about some of the origins of these people who match in what we were saying. So he's letting you know that the three most important Arabic sources for the empire of Mali at its height are Ibn Fald Allah, right? That's who we're about to quote, Ibn al-Khaldun. We're about to quote him, right? Right? Pay attention, guys. And Al-Umari and Ibn Battuta, right? So Al-Umari is this guy who we already quoted, who we already said Al-Umari did not claim anybody reaching America or anything like that. And again, he's passing down a story that was passed down to him from another person that was passed down supposedly from somebody else. Okay? So, we know about the Mecca trip. Okay, listen, Jacob, guys, please watch to the end, man. Nobody's debating all the historical pilgrimage he took. Nobody's debating none of that, guys, okay? Try to pay attention, follow along, stay on topic. Thank you. It says, Ibn Khaldun, again, the three main sources, right? Ibn Khaldun, near contemporary historian, his work, the Kitab al-Ibar, late 14th century. What Ibn Khaldun confirms, that Mansa Musa's reign and lineage. Okay, again, we're not debating that. Political structure of Mali, we're definitely not debating that. What he does not mention, again, these are the two, so Ibn, come on, Khaldun and Ibn Khaldun, here he goes. This is the one I was saying. So Ibn Khaldun, the three most important Arabic sources, does not mention, right? No Atlantic voyage by Musa, no transoceanic contact, no American landfall. Al-Mikrisi from the 1300s later, but still medieval, various Egyptian chronicles, mentions Mansa Musa's pilgrimage. That's to Mecca, right? We're good with that. Economic impact of his gold in Cairo. We're good with that. Does not mention America, Atlantic crossings, overseas colonies. Sources that do not exist, important. There are no, I'm gonna get more and more specific, watch. It gets deeper. There are no Malian inscriptions describing America. Arabic maps depicting the Americas before 1492. That we can probably debate, but is it Arabians or who are these people? Archaeological inscriptions in the Americas in Mande languages. Okay? There would be, okay, Islamic records of American peoples, crops, or geography. Now, we can probably argue the corn, because corn was coming in since ancient times, right? Contemporary European, African, or Middle Eastern records noting contact with the Western continent. This is the most important because we're talking about primary sources from that time. You can't, watch guys, watch. I'm gonna put some logic, watch this. If such contact occurred at a state scale, it left no trace in any literate civilization of the old world. The Abu Bakr second expedition, what is real versus unknown. Here you go. So this is for And I'm not done. I'm gonna break this down in different ways, right? So a Malian ruler, it says real. A Malian ruler attempted Atlantic exploration, right? It doesn't say who. The attempt occurred before Mansa Musa's reign. So it wasn't Mansa Musa, right? The expedition did not return. Again, this is from Al-Umari's story, which is a fourth-hand account, okay? No, unknown, not attested. Whether land was reached, whether anyone survived, whether the fleet was lost at sea, any connection to the Americas. That's not attested. Who's adding the Americas? The historical record stops there. Where the Mansa Musa came to America idea comes from, not from primary sources. Not from primary sources. The claim appears in 20th century Afrocentric literature. All right? In speculative reinterpretations of Al-Umari. Al-Umari never said he came to the Americas. And he never gave a name of who went to the Americas without new medieval documents or archaeology. The claim is 20th century Afrocentric literature. No medieval author, African or Arab or European, makes this claim. Nobody from his time. And I'm going to show you how crazier the story gets. Watch how crazier it gets. Final historical verdict based strictly on sources, documents, facts. Mansa Musa was a real ruler of Mali. Mali possessed maritime ambition. Ambition, everybody did. Everybody was seafaring. We're not debating that. An earlier ruler launched an Atlantic expedition. Atlantic don't mean going to the Americas. How do you get, if you're in Senegal and you want to go to Portugal, what ocean do you have to use? The Atlantic, right? Aren't people going to the Iberian Peninsula? So-called African Muslims, Arabs, Moors, aren't they? That's still Andalusia. That's still during Andalusia times. Until 1492, remember. Moors, so-called Moors, these West Africans, these North Africans, you know, ex-Yemenites and Asians and all these people, yeah, they're going into Iberian Peninsula. That was normal, on ships and by land. But mostly by ships, because you can't really cross. Anyways, the expedition disappeared. None of that is documented. Well, actually, the expedition disappeared. That's what Al-Umari says, right? Not supported by any primary or near primary source. Mansa Musa traveled to America. Malians reached the Americas. Sustained pre-Columbian African-American contact. Okay? Not supported by any primary or near primary source. Y'all got that from Ivan Van Sertima. Y'all got that from modern-day Afrocentric people. That's what y'all... hey, lineal quantum. Yeah, we said it at the same time. Exactly. You know, I got a video on him already. So it says, if you want next, we can, you know, blah, 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 blah. This is what I want next. This is what I want next. Check it out. This is what I said. I said, just tell me where to dig. Oh, no, that's what he was saying. Okay, sorry. There we go. So if hold on, so you don't get confused. So if Abu Bakr II is the one who supposedly went to America, right? I'm going to help the brothers earlier who were giving the opinions, right? We're talking to Living Noble and Uncle Pony, right? Pay attention to this part. We're gonna break this down in different ways too. Don't worry, we're just getting started. So if Abu Bakr II is the one who supposedly went to America or went to the Atlantic and did not return, what primary sources does this story come from? What is written? What is not about his travel? Let's keep it straight to the point. Straight to the point, strictly sources. Okay, primary source for Abu Bakr II Atlantic expedition, Al-Umari, right? This is this book right here, right? And we're gonna see that this is the only book that everybody's quoting. Everybody's quoting the same book, okay? The Masalik Al-Bar Mamalik Amsar, okay? This one right here. I got you. Approximately written within a few years of Mansa Musa's pilgrimage, based on direct interviews with people who spoke to Mansa Musa in Cairo, who spoke to Musa. So again, he said, she said. What is This is the only primary source. Listen, guys. This is the only source from that time that mentions something about somebody trying to go into the Atlantic, and it's a fourth-hand account. I'm going to break it down in case you don't understand what that means. Don't worry. What Al-Umari actually reports. Al-Umari reports Mansa Musa saying, so Mansa Musa supposedly said, and not to him, he never met Mansa Musa. We're going to go over this. Supposedly, Mansa Musa talked to some people in Cairo, and he told them this story, and then they told Al-Umari years later. All right, years later. Okay, we're gonna break this down. It says this is what supposedly Al-Umari wrote, right? And that's probably in there. We don't doubt that. I'm not debating this part. It says a predecessor king, unnamed in the text, equipped 2 Atlantic expeditions. First expedition returned saying the ocean had a powerful current and no end. Second expedition was much larger. The king left with the second expedition. None returned. Mansa Musa then became ruler. You got to understand that the whole story of how he became king is based on the fact that his predecessor took this voyage and got lost at sea. And that's how he became king, guys. Watch how I'm gonna break this out. Watch. I'm gonna put some, knowing that. Watch what I'm gonna ask, knowing this. Watch. What's up with all the ads, man? You know, you're watching this for free, Bo Dutch. You're not getting charged to watch this, so you know, all you could do is wait 5 seconds and skip the ad, and that will help me, support me a lot for what I do. You know, feed my family and stuff. Thank you. Let Google pay me. You know, I can't control how many ads they put, so I don't know why you have to come and complain about that. You're definitely biased. Both us, man, you're corny, bro. Okay, I see the motivation. Now are definitely, I'm biased. Okay. Yeah, whatever, man. Hold on. He said, what's up with the ads? Yeah, why am I making money? Get the hell out of my channel, you salty little Pan-African, you corny. You couldn't even hold your tongue. Cornball, man. I blocked you, man. All right. Hey, moderators. Come on, man. Get these fools out of here. Anyways, he's going to be so mad. Yo, if he keeps watching, it gets worse. It gets worse, guys. Remember, you know I got to go slow with the ChatGPT because it's programmed, right? So it says, this is the full extent of the account. What is written? An Atlantic expedition occurred, supposedly, right? It was organized by Malian ruler before Musa. The ruler personally departed. The expedition disappeared. That's what Al-Umari said. He heard from this guy, who heard from this guy, who heard from this guy. Okay? What is not written? No mentions of America. No mention of landfall. No mention of survival. No description of ships beyond many. No dates. No route. No evidence of return contact. No claim of success. Identification as Abu Bakr II. Let's see. The name Abu Bakr II comes from a later reconstruction. Not from Al-Umari himself. Not from the one primary source that exists. He never said Abu Bakr. He never said Mansa Musa went. He never said his uncle Abu Bakr went. Stop lying and stop repeating false narrative. You don't even realize you're repeating false narratives. These are later reconstructions, not from Al-Umari himself. He never said that. The one primary source that exists, the only one that has the story, does not mention Abu Bakr II. The identification relies on royal succession lists preserved by Ibn Khaldun. That's a real primary source guy here. Ibn Khaldun does not mention an Atlantic voyage. He's the one. Guys, all right, I got this. The 13th and 14th century kings of Mali. Don't worry, we're going to read this. Just going to get a little bit of the ChatGPT, my conversation from the other day. Okay, so again, one of the main primary sources of the time does not mention anything about an Atlantic voyage at all. It's only Al-Umari from a story he heard from a person who heard from Mansa Musa, supposedly. But Mansa Musa, nobody in the empire, nobody wrote about this. And that's how he became king. And nobody wrote about any of this. They lost the king and nobody ever wrote about it. all these ships. Watch how many ships they're talking about, guys. Wait. It says the voyage Al-Umari, the name Abu Bakr II inferred, not directly stated. That's you guys adding those narratives. And you keep doing it, Uncle Pone and Living Noble. You guys don't realize. I don't know if you like see, like when if I let's say like now that I'm showing you this, right? And I'm not done, but hopefully after the video's done, you'll be able to, you know, see that you might have been wrong in this belief. That's being real. That's keeping it 100. That's being humble. That's keeping it 100% real. And that's how you really learn. A lot of mistakes, they can be opportunities. They're always opportunities, learning opportunities. Mistakes are learning opportunities. So what I'm trying to say is, I hope you see, you gotta be careful what you're repeating, because it becomes a biased belief. Then if after this, I'm showing you this and you still want to say that I'm wrong, then you're just being biased and you're practicing cognitive dissonance. And now you're just being childish and being a troll, you know, like that's why we block certain people, right? So it says other. Oh, first of all, I want to say, hey, welcome to the club, Truth Prepping. Thank you, man. Thank you for that. And Tassetti 72 there. Thank you for that $20. Thank you. I'm sure Bone Dutch is mad at that. He's salty. Thank you, man. Thank you for the love, man. Thank you. So America never mentioned, okay? So in the primary source or Ibn Khaldun's or anybody, none of these, okay? Other contemporary sources, Ibn Khaldun confirms Malian kinship succession. No Atlantic expedition described. Al-Miskrisi, Ibn Battuta, and others mention Mali and Mansa Musa. No reference to Atlantic travel. These are all your primary sources. Bottom line, primary source only. One medieval source. One short report. No claim of reaching land. No claim of America. Everything beyond they sailed west and vanished is not in the record. That's the entire evidentiary base. If you want next weekend or whatever. I said, yeah, if you want, you can, it says, hold on, let me see what it says. If you want next weekend, read the exact Arabic phrasing and how little it actually says, or compared to the, okay, thank you. So, I said, yeah, do that. I said, yes, do that. I'm right here. Yeah, do that. All right. He says, exact wording, minimal commentary, the Arabic text, the source, the Shinab al-Din Umari, Masalik, this one right here, guys. Okay? Let me show you this. I got like, it's literally about plants and animals. It's not even about history, guys. Like, you guys don't even know. Like, this is, I mean, it talks about things, but this one is like mostly about plants and animals and stuff. It's not even, it probably mentions Mansa Musa for some reason, you know? And again, he's not a historian. He's not a chronologist of the kings. He's not a Mali representative. He's an encyclopedist. He used to take down notes and write like dudes like this, you know? And so this is what they're getting it from, right? This is what it looks like in Arabic. So I said the relevant passage, right? This is it right here. Literal English rendering. You know what? We can even, oh, I can't copy paste. Oh, it won't let me. So it's literal English rendering, right? And I'm going to read it because we're going to read it in different sources. I'm not going to hide anything from you guys. It's the same thing. Everybody's repeating the same thing. So it says literal English rendering. He said that the ruler, okay, let's get this. We're going to get the narration, right? He said that the ruler before him, so his predecessor, did not believe that the surrounding ocean had an end. So he equipped 200 ships filled with men and the same number filled with gold, water, and provisions, and ordered them not to return until they reached its end or exhausted what they had. They were absent for a long time. Then one ship returned. Its captain said, "We traveled for a long time until we encountered in the sea a river with a strong current. The ships entered it and none returned except me." The ruler called him a liar, then equipped 2,000 ships, 1,000 for men and 1,000 for water and provisions. and he himself departed with them. Neither he nor those with him returned. Okay? What this text does say: Atlantic exploration, okay, strong ocean current, described metaphorically as a river, total disappearance of the second expedition, the ruler personally departed. Literally, Mansa Musa's predecessor supposedly died. And that's how he became king. Watch. What this text does not say: no land, no continent, no islands, no return contact, no success, no description of foreign peoples, no name, Abu Bakr II, no America. No, 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 no. Stop making stuff up. Stop making stuff up. Why this matters? This passage is often overstated in later literature. Why does this matter? Why are you doing this? Von Dutch says, why are you doing this? Why you gotta debunk us, man? This passage is often overstated in later literature. That's why. Read plainly, it records failed exploration, not a discovery. Historically speaking, this is ambition, not evidence of transoceanic contact. Medieval authors who did describe landfall, example like Norse sources like the Vikings, explicitly say so. Yes, those are real. Al-Umari does not. This guy right here, he didn't say nothing like that. He didn't say they went to America, it was Mansa Musa and his uncle, and they all went together with the grandma, and they brought their dog along, and they ended up being the Moctezuma, and they became the Olmec, and they did the Olmec heads, and then grandma got mad, and then she left, and then they all disappeared. He didn't say none of that. You guys understand? Like, that's literally how it is. Like, we become like kids, repeating false narrative fairy tales. We don't even realize it because we're stuck in our own biases, in our own little hijacks, and we can't even, a lot of us ain't ready to let go or say, damn, I was wrong about this. Why are we going to conjecture is the point. We got to stop conjecturing. You can't have a foundation of conjecture and guessing and opinions. If there is no proof of something, you cannot say things like they are a fact. If you want next weekend, blah, 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 right? So that's where I ended the other day. That's where I ended the other day, right? Let's read a little bit. Let's read a little bit of these books. I got some books here I want to read, right? Let's see. Abu Bakr, huh? All right. We're going to get back to ChatGPT because we had a conversation today with him. I got to tell him, I'm still here. Just wait for me. Wait for me. I don't want him to lose his thought. I'm still here. Just wait for me. I'm here and ready whenever you are. Take your time. Okay. All right, man. Don't worry. We're making history together. All right. We use their own little weapons against them. We use their own little weapons against them, man. All right. Real quick. Mansa Musa, the Golden King of Ancient Mali, by Abbar Ali Tobani. All right. 1998. All right. 1998. All right. 1998. We're live. There we go. Okay. Where are we? Where are we? Where is it? Come on. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. So, ascension to the throne. How did he become king? Supposedly, according to who? Al-Umari, the only source. And he's not even a historian. How did Mansa Musa become king? See how they're quoting, everybody's going to quote. I'm going to show you. Everybody's going to quote the same source, guys. And we already broke down what the source says and what it doesn't say. And we're going to get more in depth. I just want to show you, this is how you do real research. Okay, so ascension to the throne, supposedly, right? According to Umari, who heard it from a guy, who heard it from another guy, We heard it from another guy. It says the 14th century Arab writer Al-Umari and Ibn Khaldun. Remember, Ibn Khaldun did not. All right, we got to go back. So you guys forget. I know you guys forget. Other contemporary sources, Ibn Khaldun confirms Malian kinship. No Atlantic expedition described. Al-Umari, he does not say Al-Bukhari, and he never mentioned America. Okay? Remember that. So both of these sources didn't say anything about America. But it says, the 14th century Arab writers Al-Umari and Ibn Khaldun have left us the most detailed contemporaneous, meaning the primary sources, accounts of Mansa Musa. These two writers, although neither one of them visited ancient Mali, this is something people don't understand. You gotta have a lot of context and you gotta understand a lot of things. They never even went there. Have left more detailed accounts about Mansa Musa than Ibn Battuta, who visited ancient Mali during the 1350s. Ibn Battuta, Al-Maksisi and Ibn Battuta, right? They mention Mali and Mansa Musa, but they don't reference anything to do with Atlantic travel. No reference to Atlantic travel. Again, guys, none of these primary sources I'm showing you guys, right? The same ones they're talking about here. None of these people, right? And I'm showing you the same ones right here. The three most important Arabic sources, right? Ibn Falala, Al-Umari, and Ibn Battuta, and Ibn Khaldun, right? All of these, right? That's the only, and only Al-Umari tells that story, and he just says nothing about America. You follow me so far? Okay. But anyways, they're like the most primary source go-to guys, right? That's what I just want to show you. When you understand, I went to the primary sources. So Al-Umari obtained his information about Mansa Musa and ancient Mali from several individuals. So listen, he got his info from who? Several individuals who had either lived in Mali or had met and interacted with Mansa Musa during the latter stay in Cairo, right? So we're going off he said, she said. Like, I'm not making this up, guys. Again, he said, she said. He said that he said that he said. And there's several individuals, huh? What are their names? What are their names? Something to point out. Remember that. Remember I said, I asked you, so what are these people's names then? So we can go and verify their writings. Al-Umari identifies the following as among his principal sources of information on Mansa Musa and ancient Mali. Abu Uthman Said al-Dukaki, right? Who had lived in the capital city of Mali for 35 years and was a person who Al-Umari considered to be honest and reliable. Abu el-Hassan Ali, born Amin Abir Haji, that's where he was born, an official at the court of Sultan of Cairo who had met Mansa Musa and had held conversations with the ruler of Mali. Abu Ilru Isa al-Sawawi, a learned Egyptian theologian who had also met Mansa Musa and had held conversations with him, and numerous merchants of Cairo who had profited from Mansa Musa's entourage during their stay in the Egyptian city in the 1320s. All right, so that we're not debunking, guys. See, the thing is, none of these people who they're actually naming ever mention anything about Mansa Musa saying his predecessor went to the Americas. So automatically, all this don't matter. And when Al-Umari writes, I'm going to show you about he talked to certain people, he didn't say he talked to Abu Iru Isa. He didn't say he talked to anybody else from that court. Like, he didn't give a specific name. He didn't give a specific name. I'm going to show you that. So Ibn Khaldun identified the following individuals from whom he gathered valuable information about Mansa Musa: an ancient Mali Sheikh, Uthman, and prominent and highly learned theologian. Okay, that's all good, guys. I just want you to see, I don't want to skip anything. And remember, bottom line is Ibn Khaldun never mentioned no Atlantic expedition described. Okay? So it don't matter, because all the other stuff, I'm not debating. All the other history, yeah, they wrote all that stuff. So it says these informants provided brief but significant details about political, economic, religious, and social conditions that existed in ancient Mali during the 14th century. Mansa Musa himself is said to have provided an account describing the circumstances which resulted in his succeeding to the throne of Mali. So this is Alumari's account. This is what I'm saying, supposedly, right? This account was given by Mansa Musa to Ibn Amir Hajib. See, that there's no source for that. I'm going to show you that. Like I asked ChatGPT, it's like, so what about, no, there's no source. Alumari never gave a name. That's just people inferring. Maybe he talked to this guy, who talked to this guy, who talked to this guy, who in turn narrated it to Alumari. Ibn Amir Hajib was the governor of Old Cairo during Mansa Musa's visit to that city. So far third-hand account, but literally it becomes fourth-hand account because now we're hearing it from Alumari, right? Who heard it from him, who heard it from him, who heard it from him, right? The two men became friends, and according to Ibn Amir Hajib, the king of Mali shared a good deal of information about himself, his kingdom, and his people. Now it says here, Ibn Amir Hajib asked Mansa Musa how he came to be the ruler of Mali. How did you become king? Supposedly, right? This is supposedly. But again, this guy is adding conjecture because this guy is saying, giving names when Alumari never gave a name. Watch, I'm gonna break this down. So now supposedly, this guy asked Mansa Musa how he became king, and Mansa Musa told him, is said to have replied that supposedly, that he inherited the kingdom when his predecessor left on a long distance voyage across the ocean. He never said across the ocean. We just read the primary source, guys. Word for word translated. He didn't say nothing about crossing no ocean. Again, what this text does not say. No land, no continent, no island, no return, no success, no description, no America. This passage is often overstated in later literature. Okay, later literature, like what we're reading right now, right? That was written in 1998 by this guy, Tobani Abakarali, 1998. He's not a primary source. I just want to show you how you're supposed to do research and understand certain things, because you guys kind of leave out a lot of context because you get a little biased with the info, so you don't want to pay attention to certain things or notice, hey, well, but wait, where's the actual primary source? Hey, where were we? Damn. Hold on, guys. My fault. Okay. Okay. There we go. So it says when Mansa Musa told him that when his predecessor, the king that was there before him, left on a long distance voyage across the ocean, his predecessor, Mansa Muhammad, huh? So Mansa Muhammad, son of Muhammad Ku, or Mansa Ku, was the 8th Mansa of the Mali Empire. He succeeded his father, Mansa Ku, and was the predecessor of Mali's most famous ruler, Mansa Musa. Oh, so now we can kind of understand if this is a real story, right? If this is a real story, when Mansa Musa is saying my predecessor or the ruler before him, it would have to be Muhammad Mansa or Mansa Muhammad. It would have to be this guy, not Abu Bakr, not his uncle, not Abu Bakr. You guys got to pay attention. So if that story was real, it would be this guy. The exact days are unknown with certainty, though his reign was certainly brief. His father's predecessor, Sakuda, like we got the whole breakdown. I got this right here. We're going to read this. The 13th and 14th century kings of Mali. Okay? I'm just trying to do this in a way that you're understanding what the teacher's going to tell you and what the reality is, so you don't get confused. Listen, man, Garner Freeman, what are you talking about the Olmec, bro? We're not talking about the Olmec. What's your point, man? Get to your point. I have a feeling you're a Pan-African. You're trying to say Olmecs are listen. Just listen, man. Before you get timed out or blocked. This ain't about Olmec, guys. You're way off topic. And if somebody goes off topic, guys, remind them to stay on topic. And if they don't, just time them out for 24 hours. Thank you. So it says Mansa Muhammad was intrigued by what lay beyond. So it says, check it out. So this is the story again. This is his version of Al-Umardi's story. But we already got the direct translation. Doesn't say none of all this extra stuff about names and all this other stuff, right? Anyways, it says his predecessor, Mansa Muhammad, now they're giving a name. Al-Umardi didn't give a name, was intrigued by what lay beyond the Atlantic Ocean. According to this story, Mansa Muhammad's curiosity about what lay beyond the Atlantic Ocean was so great that he ordered 200 ships equipped with men, gold, water, and supplies, and commanded the men not to return until they reached the end of the ocean or until they ran out of their supplies. The expedition departed, and after a long time, one ship returned. The captain of that ship reported that Mansa that the expedition had traveled on the ocean for a long time until all the ships except his entered a powerful current in the ocean which carried them away. None of the ships could return, and it was not known what happened to them. The captain added that he kept his ship out of the current and therefore was able to return to report to the king. Then the Mansa. Then Mansa Musa, he took over because that guy disappeared. How convenient. Pay attention to what I'm saying here. How convenient he became king because of this so-called voyage and disappearance, guys. Pay attention. Watch, I'm going to come back to this. All right, Garnet, thank you. Thanks for explaining. Please, when you leave comments, make sure they're thorough and very detailed so I can interpret them correctly. Thank you. Thanks for not taking it personal either. All right, so then the Mansa, none of the ships could return and it was not known what happened. Okay, we got that part. Then the Mansa, out of disbelief, ordered 2,000 more ships. So check it out. So you lose 200 ships, right? Or 199 because one of them came back, right? This is like that song we got in Costa Rica about the 100 bees. But anyway, it's a child song. Anyways, so we got 200 ships that got lost, and now they're going on a second expedition with 2,000 ships. I'm gonna ask you something very logical right now. You think that if somebody really built 2,200 ships and went on a crazy voyage like this, that wouldn't take so much manpower, so much labor, so much money, so much work, and it wouldn't be traced in any other record by these people themselves and not outside sources in Cairo? In Cairo? He learned this in Cairo, right? Supposedly from this guy who supposedly heard it from this guy who and this is one source. All right, I'm just gonna leave that thought there for 1 second. Just wait. Okay, so he, on the second expedition, he's like, damn, I don't believe you, man. I don't believe you. So Mansa Musa, that's what he's saying, Mansa Muhammad, right? Mansa Muhammad, the predecessor, supposedly. Even though Al-Umardi did not give names. This is literally the plain text right here, literal English rendering, guys. There's no names. There's no mention of crossing the Atlantic. There's no mention of going to America or finding land or anything like that. Okay? All this other added stuff is this guy's 1998 version of this story. He clearly told us he got this from Al-Umardi, who in turn narrated to Al-Umardi, right? Okay, well, we already know what Al-Umardi said specifically. Anyways, so then he said, no, that's not true. I'm gonna send 2,000 now, 2,000 more ships to be ready with men and supplies for a second expedition that he himself led. As Mansa Muhammad embarked on this large-scale expedition, he designated Mansa Musa to be in charge of the kingdom. Mansa Muhammad and those who accompanied him never returned, and that is how Mansa Musa became the next ruler. A mythical beginning. Oh, what a crazy origin story for this king. This is how Mansa Musa himself, right, explained his accession to the throne, supposedly. This is supposedly by this guy. That's a lie. There is no, this is third, fourth hand account, supposedly. We have to believe Alumari, who talked to somebody in Cairo, who talked to another person, who talked to Mansa Musa while he was in Cairo, not even in Mali, and the own people of Mali, nobody in West Africa, nobody in Europe, nobody else has written about this um, project of building 2,000 ships and going out to the Atlantic Ocean and getting lost and never coming back. No local histories, oral traditions. I'm going to break this down. Okay? So where are they getting this from? Levinson and Hopkins. Levinson and Hopkins. I got their book. It's this one right here. They're basically quoting Alumari too. They're quoting Alumari. They're all quoting Alumari, as it told us already. Alumari, okay, is the only, listen guys, this is the only primary source. Everything else is added conjecture. Alumari's account, so it don't matter what modern scholars are saying. 2011, right? Corpus of Early American History by Levinson and Hopkins, right? Levinson and Hopkins, right? 1981, I got the original too. Well, I had it, but it's not, I went to it, same thing. They're telling the same story here. Okay, let's go to another book real quick. I got my, hold on. Now, okay. This book, let's read this real quick. I want to show all the sources you will run into when you try to debunk me or try to do the research yourself, right? They gotta tell. So this book is called, this is a good book. We're gonna get into these books for other videos about Africans not from Africa, because they got a lot of drop, right? They tell you the people's oral traditions, right? The funny thing is, Africans would want to go with oral, oh, sorry guys, I'm not even showing it yet. Hold on, let me show it. Oh, here we go. Okay, so when we do the videos, Africans not from Africa, a lot of folks are like, oh, we don't want to believe the oral traditions. They don't know any better. But when it comes to this Mansa Musa, oh, the oral traditions say he went to America. Oh, now you want to believe oral traditions. But even though the oral traditions don't even say that. Okay, anyways, this book is The Golden Rhinoceros, Histories of the African Middle Ages by Francois Xavier Falfel, right? Princeton University Press, Oxford, all right. Okay, that's what we're reading. Real quick, go to page 170. It's chapter 24, right? Chapter 24. And we got the Sultan and the Sea, coast of present-day Senegal, Gambia, around 1312. Okay, so let me zoom in. So check this out. The titles alone, look, let's just read the whole, let me just read a lot of this. We're not going to try to skip. We're not in a rush. I'm not even trying to be in a rush. It says the titles alone of books and articles devoted to a supposed African settlement of pre-Columbian America could fill a whole book, suppose, right? This bibliography can be divided into two sections. The first, largely produced by Europeans, especially in the 19th and early 20th centuries, so they're not primary sources, sought to demonstrate that Mesoamerican civilization owed their rise to an original seed transmitted by migration from Pharaonic Egypt, mother of civilizations. That's out of Africa theories, right? So they're letting you know that all these supposed African ancient voyages are literally from modern day people, talking about 1900s, right? 2000s, 1900s, 2000s, right? We're trying to say diffusionism. So diffusionists are people who says, oh yeah, America's part of the true old world, but it was because other people came here. So remember, seeing history in reverse, remember? Anyways, so mother civilization, that's not the mother. And ancient Egypt was in America. So yeah, okay. So anyways, the second produced mostly by African Americans. No, this is what I'm saying. It's black folks making this up. Let's lie like that. The second, produced mostly by African Americans and Africans in the second half of the 20th century, desired to believe roughly the same thing, but with the premise that Egypt was a black civilization. It's all about color. See, that's the thing when you try to make history about color only. That's when you actually go to sources and real research, you see how much I hijacked and how much of a false movement that was all these years, all these master teachers and these so-called black movements. Hey, yeah, we gave them their props. Oh, they didn't know any better. Kurimeo. Yeah, sure. Okay. You said they had access to all these books. They had access to all these books, especially if they studied it. But they were biased to push an Afrocentrism. Anyways, so, and the implication that credit for having been the cradle of civilization redounded to Africa. So out of Africa theories, Eurocentrism against Afrocentrism. All right? And none of them want to give the credit to America, right? So people being local people, building their own civilizations, you know. Yo, says a battle of ideologies that conceals a war over memory. It is summed up well by the question who owns ancient Egypt. Yo, shout out to UBTB, man. Hey, America is ancient Egypt. There is not the slightest bit of evidence. There is not the slightest bit of evidence to support the idea of extra American origin for the Olmec, Maya, Toltec, or Aztec civilizations. You guys got no proof that anything you try to make so-called black in America has to be African, has to be Africans that came here. You have no proof of that. Phenotype don't mean nothing. Just because, oh, that looks like an African. I can show you the same look in medieval Europe, ancient America. And it's actually there in ancient America, the Olmec, right there. You don't have to look too far. Stop conjecturing, it's right there. You found it in America. You didn't find that in Africa. Anyways, pairs of similar phenomena will always be compared. It's the strategy of number of authors who find things that resemble each other and see, that's Van Sertima, and see in them something more than mere coincidence. The pyramids of Egypt and the pyramids of Mexico, a Mayan glyph and a Saharan rock engraving, a monumental Olmec statue and an African face. Attention is especially given to the slightest trace of direct contact between the two continents before the fateful date of 1492. If there had been Vikings in the Vinland was America, of the ancient Islamic sagas, that is to say Newfoundland, right? Newfoundland is Vinland. We're going to get all this, we've gone over it, but I'm going to get more in depth with these voyages, right, from the so-called Vikings, so-called Danes, right? Danites. Before Christopher Columbus, and they settled there for at least several decades during the 11th century. Why couldn't African adventurers have also reached the New World? I mean, yeah, nobody's saying people didn't seafare, but you're making up a whole bunch of stuff with no sources. And why do you have to start from Africa? We are the navigators. We are the ancient navigators of the world. So-called Phoenicians, so-called seafaring, the Carians, Caribs, Etruscans. Who's all these people? So-called Atlanteans. Huh. So, and we've shown the proof. So it's preferably central and southern parts, since it was here that cultural forms preserved and still are developed. Such an episode, if it really happened, does not a civilizing hero make no more than in the case of the Vikings. The voyage needed to have unleashed a continuous and irreversible movement of settlers, but why not discoverers? Yet there is indeed a story that seems to substantiate this hypothesis. All right, a what hypothesis? It is related to Ibn al-Umari. There you go. Who? The same guy we keep quoting, al-Umari, right? And again, because I know a lot of people keep coming in, we already got the exact full translation of what al-Umari said right here. Take a screenshot, read it real quick. If you missed it, he doesn't say anything about Americas. He doesn't give names. He doesn't say anything like that. This is the literal translation from the Arabic source we got right here. The only source that mentions such a story of anybody trying to go into the Atlantic. Okay? Doesn't say anything about reaching Americas or any of the other crazy stuff they're talking about. So let's go back to the book. Let's keep reading. So there's a story by Alumari, right? Who was for a time before he fell out of favor. He fell out of favor, huh? Oh, with the Sultan. Secretary of the Mameluke Chancery in Egypt, and later more famously an encyclopedist. That's what we're reading, is encyclopedia of plants and animals. That's literally what he talked about. That's not even about history, guys. You gotta understand. Oh man. So anyways, very curious about the lands of sub-Saharan Africa. Al-Umari, who wrote in the 1340s, took the story from the Emir Abu Lamsa Ali. Again, he doesn't say that. He never says who he got the story from specifically. Again, this specific book is written in the 1900s too, that we're reading right now. Who was governor of Cairo when Sultan Musa of Mali passed through the Egyptian capital on his pilgrimage to Mecca in the year 724 of the Hijrah, that is 1324. The Emir was full of anecdotes about the Sultan. Once he asked him how he came to power, Al-Umardi, who heard the tale, preserved the monarch's response. "We belong," said Musa, "to a house which hands on the kingship by inheritance. The king who was my predecessor," again, who is his predecessor? If he's talking, if this is a real story, it would be Mansa Muhammad, right? Not Abu Bakr, or not Mansa Musa himself, right? So, my predecessor did not believe that it was impossible to discover the furthest limit of the Atlantic Ocean and wished vehemently to do so. He equipped 200 ships filled with men and the same number equipped with gold, water, and provisions, enough to last them for years, and said to the man deputed to lead them, "Do not return until you reach the end of your provisions and water give out." They departed, and a long time passed before anyone came back. Then one ship returned, and we asked the captain what news they brought. He said, "Yes, O Sultan, we traveled for a long time until there appeared in the open sea, as it were, a river with powerful current. Mine was the last of those ships. The other ships went on ahead, but when they reached that place, they did not return, and no more was seen of them, and we do not know what became of them. As for me, I went about at once and did not enter that river, but the Sultan disbelieved him." He didn't believe him. So then what did the Sultan do again? Then the Sultan got ready 2,000 ships now, 1,000 for himself, and the men whom took him with him, 1,000 for water and provision. He left me to deputize for him, and embarked on the Atlantic Ocean with his men. That was the last we saw of him, and all those who were with him, and so I became king in my own right. So again, that's the story according to this guy. But the real translation again, this is what he said. He said that the ruler before him did not believe that the surrounding ocean had an end. So he equipped 200 ships filled with men, and the same number filled with gold, water, and provisions, and ordered them not to return until they reached its end, or exhausted what they had. They were absent for a long time, then one ship returned. Its captain said, "We traveled for a long time, until we encountered in the sea a river and a strong current. The ships entered and none returned except me." The ruler called him a liar, then equipped 2,000 ships, 1,000 for men, 1,000 for water and provisions, and he himself departed with them. Neither he nor with him returned. Okay, so okay, where in there does he give names and any of that, right? Like this is what I'm trying to show you. Okay, so you see how modern day they kind of like add a lot of more things. They add a lot more things. The story speaks to us of a maritime expedition, a fleet, a small boat that never returned, perhaps because one may want to believe it had reached the opposite shore. Are these the real discoverers? Since they were surely not just a handful of people at landfall, must they have transmitted some aspects of African civilization across the Atlantic? And since they were capable of doing it once, they did not been able to do it before. But note that the story doesn't tell us about a continent at the end of the ocean. All right, no mention of America. Guys, they could have gone to Europe. They could have just got lost at sea. They could have just got stuck on the coast. They could have went to India, down, I'm talking about Asia, going through the Cape of Hope, South Africa, and going around that way. Like, this is what I'm saying, guys. There is other possibilities, and people are being biased because people want to make these people the Olmec. People want to make the more. Everybody does a more in America. These people, like, it gets silly with the people's modern day biases. It says no one in the chain of informants who participated in the elaboration and transmission of this account evoked a land located on the other coast of the Atlantic. Given that the Sultan seemed so intent on proving that the crossing was possible, it is therefore quite clear that the idea that there was something at the other end of the ocean rather than nothing at all, a chasm, the edge of the world, darkness, was a theory that had not yet been validated by experience. No one had returned to vouch for it. See, these things are like modern day false concepts. They had corn. These people were the ones bringing in the corn. Turkish corn, Turkish wheat. There's been trade with the old world. You guys understand? We're not debating that part. We're debating these false stories and how they try to Africanize people based off of false stories. He said, get started, please. Denise, what are you talking about? I've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. What are you talking about? Given that the Sultan seems so intent on proving that, okay, was possible. All right. So a chasm of edge, darkness, and yet if they really had taken place, the expeditions of 400 and 2,000 small boats did not return. That's a lot of people not returning for the local families not to say something or have an oral tradition, guys. And if any discovery was made, it wasn't known. To discover something, one has to reach somewhere. To have discovered something, one has to come back to where one started. All right? Never mind that Raymond Monty, a famous French historian of Africa, believed he had shown definitively that such an expedition was impossible, given the practical conditions of the time. The expedition of Musa's predecessor is to be situated, to paraphrase Monty, in a world of paddled canoes, a world with no tradition of maritime sailing, either along the coast or the high seas. They don't even have other expeditions at that time to prove that they're incapable of doing that, which had never settled the Atlantic archipelagos. Cape Verde was not inhabited when Portuguese arrived, guys. Cape Verde is right there. Man, this is deep. This is why you gotta understand something. Let's go to the maps, guys. I can't, like, you guys gotta have real context. You gotta understand so many things. You guys gotta understand so many things. This is why I'm trying to tell you in the other video from the other day that when they were referring to the Guinea coast or the coast of Guinea, the great slaves, a lot of the time they just meant Cape Verde. Cape Verde. And when the Portuguese started arriving in the 1430s, not even people from here that were closer, there was nobody. They say uninhabited, but there was Indians there, guys. There's proof of watermelon there. There's proof of corn and all these things washing up on the shore or being brought. There's a whole, I mentioned this in my Cape Verde video, right? So if we're in West Africa, right? Wherever they supposedly took off from, right? This is the Atlantic, right? People can go up to the Iberian Peninsula, go into the Mediterranean, right? Get lost in here, have shipwreck. People can go up here. They could even go all the way up to Dublin, you know, the British Isles. You know, I mean, I can conjecture all day. They can go down and go through the south of Africa and then head to Hindustan, right? Hindustan, India, and get their spices and all that, and head to Southeast Asia. They were doing this stuff. They were doing this stuff, guys. This was normal to be going right now to the Iberian Peninsula from the Atlantic. Atlantic doesn't necessarily mean they went to the Americas. You guys understand? So the fact that that book is telling you, and this is something I don't need the book to tell me because I already knew this history. It was unpopulated. Cape Verde wasn't really, they had people there, but not the Africans, not the German people who were coming into the, the German, not the black Asiatics, okay. So imagine that, guys. So they hadn't even gone to Cape Verde, and they talking about they wanted to go to Americas. That's just what I'm trying to tell you. You have no context. They have no other expeditions from this time. They haven't even gone to the Cape Verde. And which was ignorant of wind patterns and currents. To use Monty's expression, it was only a failed attempt that falls into the martyrology of maritime discovery. And that's going if this is a true story, because remember, it's a third, fourth-hand account. But if his demonstration has convinced only those who wanted to be convinced, it is because it's an almost impossible task to prove that something did not happen also. And we get that. That's what I'm saying. But people don't apply that same logic, like saying, hey, ancient Americans actually populated Africa first. That's because you can't prove that, but we can because corn was there. And many these people are, putting on leopard pelts, putting on feathers. You guys already know. We've gone over the true seafaring people, all right? Original seafaring people, right? Anyways, so I wanted to read this. Let me see. Let's go into this. Yeah, let's go into this. This is, we're gonna break this down, right, little by little. I hope you're enjoying. I hope you're enjoying the video, guys. This is not easy to do, like it's a lot of like trying to like go through every little thing, nook and cranny, just to make a point that I already know is real. Like I hate to have to do this, but this is in the world we live in today, because people don't know how to do real research, and people are so biased from all these movements, from these so-called fake master teachers. A lot of them agents, a lot of them very biased to their beliefs, pushing their narratives on you and indoctrinating you, and you don't even realize that. Your elders or your folks, and you carrying on that indoctrination. So this book is Medieval West Africa, Views from Arab Scholars and Merchants, by Nehemiah Lipsion, okay? The same guy they quoted earlier. This is one of the main historians of this area, in J. Spalding. All right, let's see what he's saying. Well, let's see what it's saying here. So it says Alumari, right? This is the one source, the only source that talks about this story of a possible disappearance in the Atlantic on the shore of Africa, literally on the shore of Africa. Ibul Fadl Allah Umari was born 1301 Damascus and died there in 34. He spent many years in Cairo as an official in the administration of Maluk Sultanate. Al-Umar wrote during the reign of Mansa Suleiman, shortly after Mansa Musa's death, because he says that the low price of the gold caused by the pilgrimage of Mansa Musa in 1324 persisted for 12 years to the day of writing. Al-Umari missed Mansa Musa's visit to Cairo, so he wasn't there when supposedly Mansa Musa told this story. He wasn't even there, guys. Again, he heard it from another person. So he missed Mansa Musa's visit to Cairo. Remember, Cairo is a whole different place. That's in Egypt. We're talking about the Mali Empire, where Mansa Musa, these people were in the middle Africa, right? Egypt's a little bit more to the east, right? Literally right next to Palestine, so, right? So amongst his informants was Abu Uthman Said Dukakli, a Moroccan sheikh who had lived for 35 years in the capital of Mali, right? According to Ulamari, several Berber chiefs, Berbers, who are real Moors, chiefs recognized the authority of the king of Mali, whereas others were independent. Ibn Khaldun confirmed that in certain periods the authority of the king of Mali was recognized far into the desert. Okay, so none of this stuff we are debating, guys. So we want to just make sure, and I just want to show you that every book is going to go back to the same sources: Ibn Khaldun, Al-Umari, and the other one, Batakus. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the part. Atlantic. Okay, so that one I think I read it just to confirm that he wasn't there. Okay, Al-Amari never met Mansa Musa. Al-Amari never talked to Mansa Musa. So it's a story he heard. So we're getting a story from another person that came from another person. And there's no specifics about America in this story. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to show in this one. Let me see if it has. This doesn't talk about anything about America because it's not real, guys. Like doesn't even look. I put Atlantic and Atlantic doesn't even come up. That's crazy. All right. So that's that with that. Let me go to another one real quick. Hold up. I just want to show you the hijacks. This is a hijack one, 2016, right? Barbara Krasner. Chesa. Okay, hold on. So it says the Silk Road's greatest travelers, Mansa Musa, the most famous African traveler to Mecca. All right. What's she talking about? 2016. Okay, Atlantic. So, the courts of Mansa Musa. Look at this. This is supposed to be a scholar, right? And she added the Abu Bakr. This is why people come to me in the beginning of my video. It was his uncle, Abu Bakr II, man. It wasn't him. It wasn't even him. We already went over that. We're going to go over that some more. But she says, the courts of Mansa Musa, the reign of Abu Bakr II, most likely, she don't know, the son of one of Sudayana's sisters, followed the reign of Mansa Muhammad. During his rule, Abu Bakr II sent out an Atlantic expedition with 200 ships. So see, Abu Bakr sent out an expedition. You see how everybody, okay, Abu Bakr, and right here, this person saying it was Mansa Muhammad. Mansa Muhammad was intrigued by what lay beyond the Atlantic Ocean. According to story, Mansa Muhammad's curiosity about what lay beyond the coastal ocean was so great that he ordered 200 ships. So Mansa Muhammad, right? And in this other book, this is what I'm trying to show you guys. This is what people, right? During his rule, Abu Bakr sent out an Atlantic expedition with 200 ships. You see how they lie? Which one is it? Because Mansa Al-Umari never gave a name. He said, my predecessor or the ruler before him. He didn't even give a name. Mansa supposedly didn't even give a name. Do you guys see how they add stuff? See how people start changing narratives? Why you guys, and you guys don't even research this stuff because you want that to be true. You want this to be true so bad. You keep repeating false narratives. So we see how we catch them lying. Don't know. They gave two different people when the original source doesn't even give a name. Right? Okay. Anyways, let's just read what it says. It says he equipped 2 ships with men in gold, water, and provisions to last years. The journey would last until they reached the end of the Atlantic Ocean or until their food was water gave out. Only one ship returned, Abu Bakr II. So supposedly it was Abu Bakr who returned, you see? Don't you think that would have been written? Like a name? Like, you guys, there's no names given. Then prepared 2,000 ships, 1,000 for himself and his men. Okay, so I thought that was, according to Levitz, the other historian, it was Mansa Muhammad, the predecessor, who's supposed to be, that sounds more real because this is the historical predecessor for Mansa Musa, Muhammad or Mansa Muhammad, Muhammad, son of Ku. You understand? So that sounds more legit than the Abu Bakr fake story. So it says among the international Silk Road travelers of the 14th century were people who kept records of the events they witnessed and the people they met. Much of what is known about Mansa Musa comes from Moroccan traveler Ibn Battuta, right? Okay, Ibn Battuta, right? Al-Miskrizi, Ibn Battuta, and others, they mention Mali and Mansa Musa, but they don't have no reference to an Atlantic travel. Him or his uncle, Abu Bakr, okay? As a young, so this author automatically contradicts herself right here. As a young man, he set off from his home in Tangier in 1325 for Mecca. According to traditional Muslims, he curiously took him to all corners of the Islamic world. Okay, so right, that's supposed to be, okay, I can't believe this. Fake stories, man. It says, did Malian explorers discover America before Columbus? Some historians seem to think so. A 14th century Egyptian scholar, historian, described Malian explorations of the Atlantic Ocean in his book, Roadways for Those Who Have Sight in the Searching. Searching for the point of the kingdom. There is scientific evidence that supports the possibility of contact between Africa and America. Okay, so this is basically, this guy was getting it from Al-Umari too. He's just going with Al-Umari's story, guys. Again, no names and no mention of America. There's no scientific nothing. Stop lying. It says more artifacts were found in Brazil. Okay, see how they try the Pan-African stuff. Oh, there's features. The sculptures look like West Indian people. They resemble those in Western Africa. Yeah, okay. You see how this is hijacked, right? This is what I want to show you. That's why she put Abu Bakr. The hijacks will always show themselves with their biases and false info, man. It says the Mali Empire did not touch on the Atlantic, and Mansa Musa's predecessor on the throne did set out on an Atlantic journey to find its end. Or so Mansa Musa had said, or so, or according to Al-Umari's writing. You see, this whole time they were going off Al-Umari's writing, but then Mansa Musa was given to telling tall tales. Listen, so we can't even trust Mansa Musa. So according to Alumari, right, from the only source that exists, he got this from somebody in Cairo who supposedly talked to Mansa Musa, who said this stuff, right? So we got a fourth-hand account here, and this book is letting us know that Mansa Musa was given to telling tall tales. He could have made it all up. That's another possibility. He could have made it all up. He became king this way. Is that really how he became king, or did some foul play happen? Did he take over somebody? Did murder happen? Why did the dude abdicate the throne, really? The original We Was Comes, yeah, exactly. Now, check it out, guys. So today I came back with ChatGPT, right? I came back with ChatGPT after doing a little bit more research, right? Hold on. I'm hiding back. Okay, okay. Oh, I kind of gave him a little refresh. Hold on. Okay, I said, we agreed. This is where I'm going to start, guys. See? It says, well, we agreed the other day that Abu Bakr II is not even mentioned in the source by Al-Umari. Yes, that's correct. And thank you for keeping it precise. Let's restate it cleanly, strictly by the source. What Al-Umari actually says, he does not name the ruler. All right? He does not name the ruler. So all this stuff about names and stuff and Abu Bakr, you guys are making all that up. He refers only to the ruler before him. And this is the exact translation, guys. Let's see if this works. I've been trying to so look, ships, right? I try to look for this on the original source and they didn't even come up. They didn't even come up, guys. So, hold on. Let me clear this. The Sultan who was before him. Look, that's the exact translation. The Sultan who was before him. The only Sultan that was before Mansa Musa is Mansa Muhammad, not Abu Bakr. Automatically, you get debunked. Automatically, you guys came with your opinions in the beginning of the video. I told you to wait till the end. I told you don't come here with opinions. It wasn't, nobody ever said nothing about no Abu Bakr either. Stop making things up. Okay? This is the exact extent of the identification. The ruler before him. Where the name Abu Bakr II comes from, not from Al-Umari. The name is reconstructed later by modern historians using Malian kings list preserved by Ibn Khaldun. The known fact that Musa's predecessor abdicated. Ibn Khaldun himself does not mention any Atlantic voyage. All right, so to be exact, the voyage account, Al-Umari's primary, the name Abu Bakr II is later historical inference. Musa personally sailing, not stated. Not stated. America never stated. Specifically, especially, America's never stated. Correct formulation, source faithful. According to Al-Umari, an unnamed Malian ruler, before Mansa Musa launched Atlantic expeditions and disappeared. That's about as much as we can say. Supposedly, remember, this is a fourth-hand account going back to Mansa Musa, who was in Cairo, and we already got, it's too late. They already said he's prone to having tall tales, making up stuff. And literally, that book said that. He's prone to making up stuff. So we can't even trust these stories, right? So anyways, anything beyond that sentence is outside the primary text. So anything you add, like Abu Bakr, like they came to America, like they became Moctezuma, all this other stuff you guys have been running with all these many years, finally getting debunked. You can't do that no more in 2026, baby. We're about to be 2026. You cannot do that anymore. You can't just talk and not show sources anymore. We onto you, all of y'all. I've been putting y'all on notice for years. Y'all thought I was playing. And again, this is not because we're trying to go at somebody. If you're not part of the haters, then this is not to you, what I'm saying right now, right? Don't apply to you. So just chill and enjoy the show. the history lesson action. I hope you watch it from the beginning. Anybody that got here, watch it from the beginning, please. So anything beyond this primary sentence, it's all made up. Why this precision matters? Why are you doing this? Von Dutch said earlier. Why is you pointing this? A lot of popular accounts quietly slide from a non-named predecessor attempted exploration, okay? No names, to Abu Bakr II reached America. You see, it went from this, which the primary source says, to this. Somebody making up a story saying it was Abu Bakr II who reached America. Y'all don't understand. Sometimes you're repeating false narratives because you are so emotionally connected to your belief, to what you believe, to your biased narrative. I'm just being real with you. I'm not trying to come at you. If you think I'm talking to you, then it must apply to you. So that leap, this whole crazy change, that leap is not supported by any medieval source. So Capone and Living Noble, are you guys real enough to admit you didn't know this stuff? Can you guys come back on the chat, since you were so brave enough when I started the video to say, oh, it's his uncle, it's not Mansa, like you were so confident. Can you guys come back now? Can you guys come back now and admit you didn't know this? That you didn't know that his name wasn't mentioned at all. That's a false reconstructed narrative later on. You're right to flag this, that ChatGPT says. Historically, the name does not appear in the primary record. There's no mention of anybody. If you want, I can continue. You know what? Listen, I said, well, that source clearly says that Mansa Musa said that it was his predecessor. And so who is his historical predecessor, right? We already went over this. Isn't it Mansa Muhammad? Yes, that is the historically correct identification. And this is an important correction that often gets muddled. I don't know why y'all never went to the actual source to see what it says and then try to interpret it better. If the story supposedly says it was his predecessor, then the only person it could be would it be Mansa Muhammad, if this is a real story, not Abu Bakr. So sticking strictly to near contemporary historical records, who was Mansa Musa's immediate predecessor? Ibn Khaldun, this is a primary source, right? On the Kitab al-Ibar, the writing he did in the 14th century, 1300s, is the best source we have for Mali's royal succession. We're gonna go over that for the dismount. Ibn Khaldun states clearly that Mansa Musa's predecessor was Mansa Muhammad, son of Ku. He ruled briefly. He abdicated the throne. You guys understand how Mansa, and not even that, I'm going to show you that Mansa's family is not of the original ruling family. I'm going to show you that today from the same primary source they're mentioning right now, Ibn Khaldun. I'm going to break it down. There is a relationship there with a certain Abu Bakr, but we're talking about senior, not the second, senior, and it has nothing to do with him going to the Americas. Okay? Who's saying my link, man? Come on, guys. Don't go watch my Africans Not From Africa video if you're talking about Malinka, Mandinga, or whatever. Anyways, Mansa Musa's predecessor was Mansa Musa. He ruled briefly, right? This is explicit in Abu Khaldun's. What Al-Umari says and how it aligns, Al-Umari reports Mansa Musa saying, the ruler before me launched the Atlantic expedition and disappeared. Are you sure you didn't murder him and take over the throne, and now you're telling the court in Cairo, your officials somewhere else in a foreign land, a whole made-up story of how you became king so it doesn't sound so bad? You guys, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, watch. Like, I'm a break. Like, this is one of the possibilities as well. But you don't want to conjecture that way. You want to conjecture that, oh no, they're the Olmecs. We everything. We went over there. We built this. We built the pyramids. Y'all want to conjecture all that, but y'all don't want to conjecture other possible things, which are more historically logical, because it's something that has been recordedly done in many different empires. People fantasize their origin and their kingship sometimes, especially when they took over somebody else's title. Something y'all didn't think about the whole time, huh? Because y'all didn't even know. Y'all didn't even know he became king that way, supposedly, of this crazy story. Y'all didn't even know that detail. Okay? So it says, how does the name the ruler? Okay, the ruler before me launched. So that's what it says. He does not name the ruler. So anybody trying to say Abu Bakr, anybody giving a name, you guys are making stuff up. Ibn Khaldun gives us the succession. There is only one immediate predecessor. That predecessor abdicated, matching Al-Umari's account. So that part of the story kind of can be verified. The guy who was king before Mansa Musa abdicated the throne for some reason, guys. Why is that not written down? Why? What happened? Why is that really not written down from the local people? From the local Mali rulers, local chroniclers, royal chroniclers, not from Umari, who's an encyclopedia on plants, and he was in Cairo and he heard a story from a guy who heard a story from a guy who heard it from Mansa Musa while he was visiting Cairo. That's how crazy this is. So when we align the two sources, Al-Umari, predecessor, abdicated after expedition. Ibn Khaldun, Musa's predecessor, was Mansa Muhammad. Result, the unnamed ruler equals Mansa Muhammad. Cool. So that's the only logical person that could be the person they're talking about here. Right? And we said that ruler before him is the guy who did this, not Abu Bakr. So throw that out the window, all right? Uncle Capone and Living Noble. You guys see y'all were wrong? Y'all ain't real enough to say, yeah, you kind of showed me this. You kind of, I was wrong. You can't admit that, right? Okay. But you wanted to come on my video so quick before I even started with your opinions. All right, let's keep going. We ain't done. It says where Abu Bakr II comes in and why it's problematic. The name Abu Bakr II does not appear in Al-Umari. It also does not appear as a reigning name in Abu Khaldun's list. There's no Abu Bakr II as a Mansa king. Okay? As a Mali king. It is a modern historiographical label. Modern. Often used to reconcile throne names, personal names, later oral traditions. It is not required by the primary sources. From a strict source-based position, Mansa Muhammad, son of Ku, is the only ruler that texts allow. That would be the only possible person they're talking about if we're talking about a predecessor of Mansa Musa. Clean source faithful statement. According to Al-Umari, Mansa Musa stated that his immediate predecessor abdicated the throne after launching Atlantic expeditions that never returned. Ibn Khaldun identifies that predecessor as Mansa Muhammad ibn Ku. That is the tightest formulation possible using only medieval sources. Bottom line, yes, the predecessor was Mansa Muhammad. The voyage story applies to him, not Musa, if it's true, right? Abu Bakr II is a later interpretive name, not a primary one. So stop saying that. No source claims landfall or America. And that's a major one right there. If you want next, blah, blah, blah. I said, so wouldn't there be a recorded, listen to this, guys. Now listen to this logic right here. Okay? This is the body bags for the body bags, right? Hey guys, why you erase more Christian, more Mohammedan, same house, black? See? Hey, Gene Christopher, we don't, you know, you've been here a long time following me. You know I don't do the generalized remorse stuff, guys. This is what I'm saying. Like that's all babble. That's why your message got deleted. Because a lot of us here, you gotta remember, you gotta empty our cup. I like to use sources. I don't know. I don't generalize. I don't try to relate hey, this more with this more Christian, more black, and more. Everything is a more now. No, come on. Just like everything ain't African, everything ain't more. Please, okay. With all respect, bro. Okay. So would there be a recorded history by Mansa Muhammad of him organizing an expedition, especially when they say 2,000 ships? You guys think that this Mansa Muhammad wouldn't have a record of him organizing 2,000 ships? The construction, the material, where's the logistics here? That is a lot of materials and people and finance involved for it not to be recorded anywhere specifically from anyone in his time. Like, this is a real statement right here. Let's address the elephant in the room right away. Let's address the elephant in the room. What primary sources exist from Muhammad or Mansa Muhammad's time, right, the predecessor, or someone who knew him, that states he really did this, or that he abdicated the throne because he got lost in the Atlantic? Where is this really coming from, other than Al-Umari, who's not a real source? He heard it from a guy who heard it from a guy who heard it from a guy. And that's the only primary source of this crazy, like, massive expedition, when we already got from that other book that in the times they weren't even doing expeditions like that. They don't even have records of any expedition like seafaring that far like that. This seems like it would be a very historically significant event that should have many sources. Do any sources explain why he abdicated the throne, really? Right? Oh, we're asking real questions now. We're asking some real questions that most of these people would never want to ask, because they want to just believe. And you look what he says. You're asking exactly the right historical question. That's ChatGPT. And the answer is stark, but very clear when we stay inside the sources. Do we have any primary records from Mansa Muhammad himself? Very simple answer. No, none. Not even from Mansa Musa. Not even from his predecessor, Mansa Muhammad, or from Mansa Musa himself. None. There are no letters, no decrees, no inscriptions, no chronicles authored in Mali from his reign, no administrative records of shipbuilding, taxation, or provisioning. You don't think that would have been recorded? 2,000 ships, guys, plus the 200 that left before that expedition? 2,200 ships, and that's not recorded anywhere in their local history. Al-Umari, only source. This is not unique to Mansa Muhammad. We have no internal Malian state documents at all from this period. Everything we know about Mali comes from external observers. And guys, that connects with my playlist, Africans Not From Africa. That's why. A lot of these people are just arriving in medieval times in Africa. From Asia, from Palestine, from the Middle East, from India, from Persia, from Syria, from Iraq. You guys already got the proof, you got the research, you've seen the videos. There's actually not a lot of records here of any of these people being there from ancient times at all. Do we have any primary sources from someone who knew Mansa Muhammad confirming the expedition? No. Remember, this is the one who actually went, supposedly, his predecessor, even though he's not named. Even though Al-Umari never named this guy. This is the only predecessor that could have been, and even him doesn't have any records, none. No contemporary or near contemporary sources state that Mansa Muhammad personally organized a fleet. How can, guys, think about this. This is a big debunk right here. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way that if they really built 2,000 ships, this wouldn't have been recorded. Such a massive expedition where their king is literally lost at sea. And nobody wrote this down? Locally, none of the local royal chroniclers, none of the people from Mali. We get a word of mouth, a fourth-hand account from Cairo, Egypt. From people who are Egyptians. Not even the Mali people themselves. You guys understand, I've broken this down in so many ways. We're almost at the dismount, so you can understand. This is 100% debunked. That he sailed, there's no record of that. That he abdicated because of an Atlantic exploration. Don't you think that would have been written in their royal chronicles? That 2,000 ships were actually built? Where is all this proof? Where's the wood? Where did they get the wood? Who worked on it? Where did they build this? What forest did they clear? You telling me the local people, such a massive undertaking, such a huge project, is not recorded anywhere locally This is such a great empire. So where does this abdication come from? Ibn Khaldun, the only source for abdication, work that Kitab Ali-Bar, he says, Mansa Muhammad abdicated. Musa succeeded him, right? He doesn't say, what he does not say, why he abdicated. He doesn't say he got lost at sea. The only real royal chronicler of the Mansas, of the king's list, Ibn Khaldun, who's a primary source from that time, who met some of these people, he didn't say why he left the throne. He didn't say, oh, because he got lost at sea and Mansa became king. He never said that. That it was connected to the ocean. He never said anything like this. That it involved ships or exploration. None of that. And that's the primary source. That's the only source for abdication. There is no explanation given. All right, I'm reading the response here. Does any source connect abdication plus Atlantic voyage? Only Al-Umari's indirectly and secondhand. Only Al-Umari, right? Only Al-Umari, the only source that tells this crazy story, which is indirect and a secondhand, literally a fourth-hand account. Watch. I'm gonna have the ChatGPT literally do the math. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, you're actually, oh yeah, it is fourth-hand account actually. And even here, the voyage story is reported as Mansa Musa's explanation, right? Even here, even in this story, it's just an explanation of what somebody said he heard, what another guy told him to Al-Umari, right? Al-Umari does not independently verify it. He didn't go verify this stuff and prove it. He just took a note down, supposedly. We don't even got names. He didn't say who he talked to. So he could have made that all up. It could literally be all Al-Umari. He could literally be making this whole thing up. Look how famous his book got. Look how famous his book got in the world because of this little narrative he put in it. His little story he got in it. So historians are left with, one ruler says his predecessor left and vanished. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. Stop adding anything else about America, about Olmecs, about Abu Bakr, about anything else. Stop making things up. So when you guys come to my channel with these things, I'm like, damn, he don't know real history. He's ignorant of certain truths. How do I tell him? How do I let him know? Unless I do it like this. I had to do this. It sucks that I had to do this, but I had to do this. There's a time for everything. Right before the New Year's, right? So-called fake New Year's, right? Maybe it's a start for you, a new start for you. Get over your emotional, historical attachment to false narratives and learn some real history if you really like history. Now, about the 2,000 chips problem. Yeah, that's a big problem. You're right. You're right. 2,000 ships would be enormous. Guys, come on. Who builds 2,000 ships and it's not recorded? Stop lying. Yet, no Islamic naval records mention Mali building fleets. That's hard to believe, guys, because there's thousands of Arabic, African Islamic records. And I can't believe such a great person and great empire wouldn't have this recorded, this undertaken. No North African shipyards record Malian commissions. Because this stuff is six size. He's telling you these things are real. There is African shipyard records. There is Islamic naval records. And none of them mention this. No Mameluke, Maghrebi, or Andalusi sources remark on it. Not even in the Moorish land. Andalusia, so-called Moorish. None of it. No economic disruption or manpower losses noted. That would take so much labor and manpower and money. Where are they getting the money to do this undertaking? Like, guys, this is what I'm saying. This would be recorded. You know, people don't play with their money. They would record this. They have to. That would be a royal chronicle. No archaeological trace exists on the African coast. Worst of all, not even archaeology. Come on now. In medieval historiography, numbers like this are often rhetorical, not audited figures. Would this normally be recorded if it happened? Yes! If it were real at that scale. Okay, period. That's right there. ChatGPT is snitching right there. It's straight up being logical. If this was a real story, that Al-Umari, who's a third-hand, fourth-hand account, if this was a real story, this would have to be recorded locally, somewhere else. A lot of sources, if it were real at that scale. For comparison, the Chinese treasure fleets, they recorded that. The North voyages, the Vikings, all that is recorded, guys. Crusader fleets, all that. All leave multiple independent records. And that wasn't even as big as this, supposedly. Here we have one secondhand anecdote. It's not even secondhand, it's fourth-hand. Watch. What is the historian's dilemma? Right? What is your dilemma, right? Either a massive state expedition occurred and left no trace anywhere. A massive state expedition occurred and left no trace anywhere, huh? How is that possible, guys? Or the story reflects exaggeration, misunderstanding, rhetorical storytelling, or a symbolic abdication narrative. That, when he said that to me right there, I was like, you're right. This could just be, if Mansa Musa did say this, or if they're trying to make Mansa Musa's rise to power and sugarcoat it and make it look good, this is one of the craziest ways, best ways to do it, create a crazy ass story that you can't prove or disprove. Primary sources do not let us decide which. They only let us say what is not proven. Clean source, faithful conclusion. Abdication is real. Ibn Khaldun says that the predecessor of Mansa Musa was abdicated. So that could have been something Al-Umari knew and he just made up the rest of the story. A voyage story exists. Al-Umari second hand, right? Second, not primary, guys. No internal Malian confirmation. No external corroboration. No explanation for abdication in any source. No evidence of 2,000 ships. No evidence of Atlantic landfall. So your instinct is historically sound. An event of this magnitude should leave more evidence, and it does not. All right, period. That's it. That's it, period. Prove it. We know you can't. You know you can't. Something so large, such a large undertaking, such a massive project, building 2,000 ships, all this would be recorded. There should be evidence of this. This is not ancient times. This is medieval times, right? This is not ancient time where you're saying prehistory, where you're saying, oh, we don't know. Like when we're talking about Mayas or Olmec, right? We got to kind of let go with whatever we can find, archaeology and all that, but not in these times. These so-called African Arabs were writing down everything. I showed you in my Africans Not From Africa series, I showed you all the sources that actually do exist there about these people's origins. So the gap is exactly why professional historians treat the episode cautiously. And that's why unprofessional ones keep repeating false narratives. If you want next, we can, whatever. I said, well, I would say it's a third-hand account. Did Al-Umari actually meet or talk to Mansa Musa himself to get this story, or did he get it from another person who supposedly heard it from Mansa Musa? What did the chat GPT say? Excellent. And you're right to press this point. Yes, it is at best a third-hand account, and we can be precise about the chain. Did Al-Umari personally meet or speak with Mansa Musa? No, he did not. This is clear from Al-Umari's own method and statements. He literally said, I didn't meet. I heard from this guy who heard from this guy. How did Al-Umari get the information? Al-Umari's position. He lived in Damascus. He did not travel to Cairo to meet Musa. He was an encyclopedist compiling information from informants. From informants? Who? His stated sources from Mali. Al-Umari explicitly says he interviewed people at the Malun court. He didn't give a name. Spoke with officials and courtiers who had personally met Mansa Musa during the pilgrimage, supposedly, but he didn't give names. These included court officials, administrators, possibly merchants or scholars attached to the court. The transmission chain clearly laid out. Unnamed Malian ruler allegedly undertakes expedition, allegedly, I'm glad the ChatGPT is starting to catch on. Mansa Musa tells the story while in Cairo. Look at the crazy. This is crazy, right? Mameluke officials courtiers hear it from Musa. And then Al-Umari interviews those officials years later, not even during the same time, like, oh, he just came here a week ago. No, this is years later. And then Al-Umari writes it down. Do you see this crazy telephone chain? I heard from this guy who heard from this guy who heard from this guy. So the chain is expedition, Musa, Mameluke courtiers, Al-Umari. This is third hand, possibly even fourth hand, depending on the listener. Exactly. We got this from our fourth hand account because we're listening to Al-Umari, guys. You understand? You don't. This is not primary. This story could be totally false. What Al-Umari does not claim, he does not say, I heard this directly from Mansa Musa. I verified this with multiple witnesses. Nope. He didn't really verify this. This is well known. Nope. Others confirm it. He didn't say none of this. He presents it as a reported speech, not as an established fact. Not as an established fact. Why this matters historically. This is very important historically. This is why I'm doing this. Because Vo Dutch wants to say, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to debunk always? Because this matters. This matters with the false narratives of people's origins and stuff, and your Afrocentric, Pan-African, man, babbling, and falseness and no research, ignorance. In medieval Islamic historiography, first-hand observation is often signaled explicitly. Okay? Usually, they do have first-hand accounts of people. Reliable chains are sometimes named, and they got names for the people. Not just, oh, I talked to this court official. Extraordinary events are usually corroborated. When there's such a crazy story, somebody else has to talk about it. That's historical, guys. That's why this matters. This shows you this shit is probably not even real. Al-Umari records the story because it was interesting. It explained Musa's ascension. It fit a theme of royal ambition and fate. Royal ambition. Not because it was verified. Not because it was verified. You never verified it. Proper source critical classification. Voyage story. Hearsay. The voyage story is hearsay. Pay attention to this part. The voyage story is hearsay. The number of ships, unverified. Abdication motive, unexplained elsewhere. Landfall, not claimed. Never. They never said they reached America. America, never mentioned. Never mentioned. Direct testimony, none. None. No real actual first-hand accounts. No real actual first-hand accounts from the people who saw this, talked to the people who went on the voyage, lost the people, lost family members on that voyage. You get what I'm saying? It's a lot of people. Clean, rigorous conclusion. Al-Umari did not speak to Mansa Musa, okay? He recorded a story told about what Musa had said, as reported by third parties. No independent contemporary source confirms the event, the motive, or the scale. No other sources exist other than Al-Umari, who was documenting plants. You think I'm making this up, right? And animals. He's an encyclopedist. He's not of the royal court historians guy. Look. Animals. Look. This is encyclopedia. This is nothing to do with history or the chronicles of the Mali kings. Nothing like that. And this is where he mentions it. See? This is so crazy to me. Look, he got unicorns. He got unicorns. See, I didn't even... Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Let's just look at some of these images. Wow. He got some American animals and shit in. Yeah. Oh, crazy, man. Crazy. He got unicorns and shit. That's our source, guys. That's our one source. Same guy got unicorns. He drawing unicorns. They were real. We gotta get the drop, man. Unicorns were real, man. Damn. Just like the voyage was real, right? He said that, she said that, he said that he saw a unicorn. I bet you that's what he says here. I heard from this guy, that heard from this guy that he actually rode a unicorn and it flew. It flew him to the Americas. It flew him to the Americas. Oh, it's that dove shit right here. That's the peacock. Oh no. Look at this. Uh-oh. 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 Body bag. You guys know that symbol, right? And I showed you that this symbol existed in Islam too. I told you about hermetics. The double head. I told you about all this. All right, let's get back. Let's get back, guys. All right. All right. We got unicorns and the hijack symbols there. Okay. All right. So your framing is exactly right. This is not eyewitness history. It is a layered court hearsay. Hearsay, I heard from him, who heard from him. If you want next, the most rigorous follow-up would be how medieval historians treat numerical exaggeration, whether Mansa Musa had political reasons to frame his ascension this way. Okay. So I said, was the person he heard the story from the Emir Abdul Hassan? Because that's what the other modern books were saying, right? Short answer, we cannot say with certainty that it was Emir Abdul Hassan, and the source itself does not explicitly tie this specific story to him. Here's the precise source critical breakdown. What does Al-Umari say he got information from? In Malasik al-Absar, Al-Umari, right? That's the book I just came from, right? Malasik al-Absar, Fit Malik al-Abs, that's this one, right? Encyclopedias. All right, hold up. Ah, damn, where did I go? He explains his general method for Mali. He interviewed Mameluke officials and courtiers in Cairo. These were people who had personally met Mansa Musa during the pilgrimage, supposedly, right? He sometimes names informants for certain details, but not every report is assigned to a named individual. Emir Abdul Hassan, what role does he play? Yes, Abu al-Hassan was a high-ranking Mameluke official, is named elsewhere by Al-Amuri as one of his informants about Mali. So that's rational thinking that it could be him, right? Maybe he got it from him if it's a true story. But the fact that he didn't name him for that specific story shows me that Al-Amari might be covering up for himself to make sure these people don't come after him. Saying, I didn't tell you that shit, bro. Why you say I told you that, bro? Because he didn't. He didn't say none of these people. He didn't give a name. However, this is the key point. For the Atlantic expedition passage, Al-Umari does not say, Abu Hassan Ali told me, or attribute the story to him by name. The passage is presented as reported speech from Mansa Musa without a named intermediary. So question and answer, right? Did Al-Umari name Abu Ali as the informant? As an informant about Mali, not about the Atlantic? Yes. So that was one of his informants on other things. Did he explicitly say Abu Hassan Ali told this story about the Atlantic? No. Is the chain of transmission specified for expedition story? No. What we can responsibly say no more that Al-Umari gathered Mali information from Mameluke elites. Abu Hassan Ali was one such elite informant. The expedition story is attributed to what Mansa Musa said, not to a named witness. No explicit attribution to the story of Abu Hassan Ali exists in the text. Anything more specific would go beyond what the sources allow. Why this matters? This means the chain remains Musa, unnamed court listener, and Al-Umari. All right, he said, she said. That way you can't hold people accountable because he made up, he didn't name who told him that. There's a missing link here, basically, just like the whole Darwinism. There's a missing link. Even at best, we do not have a named eyewitness, a verified chain, or multiple attestations, which reinforces your earlier point. For an event of such alleged scale, the sourcing is extremely thin. For an event of such an alleged scale, 2,000 ships crossing the Atlantic, the king getting lost, he losing his throne, another king coming into play. For such alleged scale, the sourcing is extremely thin. There is no sources. Here, historical conclusion. Emir Abdul Hassan was one of Al-Umari's informants on Mali, but the Atlantic expedition story is not explicitly attributed to him. or to any named individual in the primary text. If you want, blah, blah, blah. So I said, listen to this. Yes, honestly, since this is really a third hand or fourth hand account, it's hard to take it as a fact. I meant fact, right? It is common for oral traditions to have errors, or for people to make oral traditions up to fit a certain narrative they're trying to push to others who don't know the history. You know, people can add stories to oral traditions, right, guys? One possible theory could be that Mansa Muhammad was forced to abdicate the throne by Mansa Musa. It's not so legitimate way, in a not so legitimate way, or through murder or forced coup, right? And making up stories like he disappeared in the Atlantic Ocean could be covering up another truth, and the story could be sugar-coated. Also, let's say there was such a voyage in the Atlantic, they could have drowned, they could have went to Europe, or gone around the Cape of Good Hope towards Asia, not necessarily to the Americas. Also, wasn't Iberia being colonized and populated by so-called Moors during this time, right? They could have even went to the Iberian Peninsula. I'm just saying, this seems more like an allegorical, exaggerated myth than a fact. I find it really hard that no Mali records of such huge magnitude event and a king being lost in the sea is not recorded. Okay? Watch what he's gonna say for the Disma. Are oral traditions and core stories prone to distortion or invention? This is from ChatGPT. Remember, it's gotta be truthful and logical. It can't just agree with me. And remember, I'm not logged in. Look, it says log in. So I had to start this conversation and they don't know who I am. Like anybody coming to talk to ChatGPT, I just want to make sure you guys understand that. So it says, yes, absolutely. What oral stories or just narrations could absolutely be distorted, right? And this is well documented in historical methodology. Across medieval Africa, the Islamic world, and Europe, it has happened. People add things to, they add false narratives to history. Oral transmission compresses events. Numbers are inflated. Motives are simplified. Politically awkward successions are reframed. Remember that the winners tell the story, the conquerors tell the story. Stories are shaped to make outcomes seem divinely sanctioned, inevitable, honorable. Oh, that's such an honorable. He took over because his king got lost, so he took on the job. Okay, sure. This is not unique to Mali. Doesn't just happen there. It happens all over the world. Examples: comparative, not speculative. Frankish kings called by God. Get it? Got people added that stuff. Roman emperors vanishing or dying abroad. Abbasid caliphs withdrawn instead of being removed. Viking leaders lost at sea rather than defeated. You see? You see how people can change narratives. This is what we were pointing out here. Disappearance is a classic narrative device, especially when stories say he disappeared at sea. They disappeared. They never came back. Nobody returned. Neither he nor those with him returned. They disappeared. Right? Like the Mayas disappeared, right? Supposedly. Like all the real, like Indians disappeared, supposedly. That's what we're going with. This guy disappeared in the ocean. We got to trust the crazy story. And that's how you became king. Supposedly, according to Alumari, who got it from another guy, who got it from another guy. Now, nowhere in the Mali records or anywhere in Africa, in Iberian, in the Moorish Empire, nowhere is this ever recorded, ever. Such a huge undertaking. Could the expedition story function as a political cover? This is a plausible historical explanation, not a claim of fact. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool, but as long as this is a possibility that you consider. What we know is Ibn Khaldun Mansa Muhammad abdicated, no reason given. Alumari Musa says predecessor vanished at sea. No independent confirmation, no Malian internal records. What historians recognize: abdications without explanation are often red flags. There you go right there. Guys, listen. I'm a historian. That's why I conclude these things. Like, I mean, I hope you guys give me that at least that recognition. You know, I'm not trying to boost myself up, but that's what I've been into since I was a kid. And I would have took this in college if I really, went to college seriously. But anyways, but I would have got the hijack, right? I would have been in the system. Anyways, abdications without explanation are often red flags. Why is there no local record of the change of power between Mansa Muhammad and Mansa Musa? How could it only be written by this encyclopedias, who's really an encyclopedia? He's not really a historian or chronicler of the royal court. He's not even from Mali. How could nobody from the royal courts, the royal families, the people, the local stories, the people who got lost, the families, how could nobody have this recorded, guys? That's a red flag. New rulers frequently offer legitimizing narratives. New rulers always glorify themselves. Stories told to foreign courts are specially curated, especially if you got the story from another people in Egypt who are not even part of the Mali people or empire or related to Mansa Musa. Stories told to foreign courts are especially curated. They could have said anything to these people and they would have believed them. So yes, from a historiographical standpoint, this kind of story could smooth over a contested succession. Distance Musa from responsibility. Okay? Distance him from real what he actually did. Present Musa as lawful and not an usurper. You get it? You get it? That does not mean it happened. I get that. Okay, I agree. I'm cool with that. This doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but it's a possibility, guys, especially if this is such a crazy story that there's no sources for. It means the story functions politically. If ships really sailed, must they have gone to the Americas? No. There's absolutely nothing in the source that requires that. The texts say the surrounding ocean. The surrounding ocean is the coast, guys. A strong current, they disappear. That's all it says. That allows many possibilities, including lost at sea, most common, drift along the African coast, Iberian coast, Al-Andalus, that's Spain and Portugal, right? Canary current toward the northwest, head to the British Isles, collapse due to storms or provisions of failure. Nothing in the text implies a continent, successful navigation, or survival. The Americas are a modern projection onto an ambiguous phrase. That's what you guys are doing. All you guys are still pushing that narrative, especially after watching this video. Shame on you. Shame on you, man. You can't continue that, Uncle Pony and Living Noble. You can't come here again and or even repeat that to anybody else. Don't be slick. Anybody who never watched this video or was in this live, you might try to go fool them, but the real ones will know the truth, and they're going to see you guys as ignorant, lacking information. The Americas are a modern projection onto an ambiguous phrase. Just like saying Olmecs are from Africa. Man, it's just as bad as saying we come from Darwinism, from apes. Just as bad. Because that's what out of Africa theory goes to Darwinism. As much as you think it doesn't, it goes back to the bones of Lucy. Darwinism's explanation of the evolution of survival of the fittest, the monkey man. Those ain't modern humans. What about Iberia and the Moors at that time? Look, pay attention to this part. Yes, Al-Andalus still existed in this period. They could have gone there and got lost or fought there or died or whatever. Granada remained Muslim until 1492, so they could have gone there. North African and Andalusian maritime traffic was active. Mali had trans-Saharan ties to North Africa. If Malian ships somehow reached Iberia, it would not be extraordinary. Okay, that wouldn't be recorded because that was normal. It would not require discovery of a new continent. It might not even be worth recording separately, okay, because that was normal. People were on the shores of Africa going up and forth on the Atlantic. That doesn't mean they were going to Americas, man. And again, no Iberian source records such an arrival either way of 2,000 ships or whatever. The strongest red flags, silence. What is the strongest red flag? Silence. You've identified the most decisive issue. You see how I made the chat? I taught the chat UPT. I made him come out of his programming. For an event allegedly involving a king. This is crazy that there's silence for an event allegedly who involves a famous king, not just any king, thousands of people, massive expenditure, like financially, this is crazy. Permanent laws of a ruler, a permanent rule. We're talking about a change in power. We got a new king because of this, supposedly. And that wasn't recorded. There's nothing. We would expect at least one of the following. Multiple Islamic chroniclers mentioning it because that is the truth. There are numerous sources from this time, and people got numerous recordings of the same story and by different Islamic chroniclers. How could none of them talk about this expedition? A clear abdication explanation, right? There should be the following. Why did he leave the throne for real? Economic or political disruption noted. This should be noted. Oral traditions preserved later in Mali. The people, the families, they should know this story. Archaeological or epigraphic traces. Come on now, where's the archaeology? If so many Africans came to the Americas, what happened? Where's all the African culture that you try to say it's African? But in reality, you're just trying to make American culture African. You're seeing it in reverse. We have none of this. How could something for an event allegedly involving all these people, such a huge event, there is no sources for any of this. Historians call this an argument from silence. And while silence alone isn't proof, here it is overwhelming. Damn! Body bag! Yo, shout out to Drop, man. 432 the Drop, my boy, yo. Yo, you see this Drop, man? Look at this, man. Somebody share this with Drop. Come on, guys. Somebody share this with Drop Nation for me. Anyways, guys, come on, man. What does professional historical method conclude? When evidence is single source, third or fourth hand, politically convenient, uncorroborated, numerically exaggerated, contradicted by silence elsewhere. The responsible classification is a court anecdote of an uncertain reliability, not an established historical fact. We're talking about the whole voyage of anybody from that time or that associated with these people coming to the Americas. That's literally what you should really say. That is the bottom line conclusion. That is the responsible classification of the story. That does not deny the possibility of a voyage. I'm good with that. But it rejects any claim of certainty or discovery. Period. Bottom line, clean and honest, your skepticism is justified. The story fits known patterns of political myth making. It's actually like other origin king stories. With this crazy exaggerated story, America is not implied by the source. Bottom line, silence elsewhere is decisive. You understand? Because nobody's really writing about this locally, the actual empire, the Mali people themselves, such a huge undertaking, that proves this is a fake story, guys. Alumari could have made it up. Somebody in the Egyptian court could have made it up if it came from somebody there, or even Mansa Musa, while he was traveling to sugarcoat his story, could have made it up. He gave no names either. That's slick. These people are slick. They don't give names because then they're going to hold the other people accountable to try to see if those people ever mentioned it. And because you give no names, right? It's like these murder cases. You got no leads. You got nowhere to go verify. So it becomes just like a story to believe without being able to be proven. This episode cannot be treated as a fact. That's the bottom line. that's after concluding everything we've talked about, everything we've shown, the real history, guys. The bottom line is this episode cannot be treated as a fact. What remains is a brief anecdote preserved by a compiler, reported secondhand, right, fourth hand, with no confirmation. That is not how discoveries are established in history. We hate to remind people of that because they're not historians. If you want to keep going regularly, but whatever. It says, thanks. I still have more to say on this subject. Okay. Okay, so I'm still here, right? Bottom line, guys, that shit is fake. Now let's read this for the dismount, okay? I want to read this for the dismount. I know I'm kind of tired. I want to get out of here, but I'm going to read this for the dismount. This is from the Cambridge University Press. This is the 13th and 14th century kings of Mali. Author N. Lepsion. This is from the Journal of African History, Volume 4, Number 3, from 1963, all right? This is from modern times. Something I just want to add, right? But this is one of the best thorough kings list of the Mali kings, right? Without any myth added to it, right? So it says the 13th and 14th century kings of Mali by N. Levinson. The three most important Arabic sources for the Empire of Mali at its height are Ibn Falam Allah Umari, right? We got him, Batuta, and Ibn Khaldun, all right? All three of those never said anything about America, Mali, Abu Bakr, none of that, okay? You got debunked today completely, okay? So we're going to talk about what's real, though, with the lineage, right? It says these authors all had good opportunities to collect information on this remote empire. Al-Umari, who wrote 1342, reflects the impression that Mansa Musa had left in Cairo during his pilgrimage. In all probability, he had not himself met Mansa Musa in person, but he had talked with people who had met the Sudanese emperor, right? Volume number 2, these were the Ibir Habjid. Okay, I got all the sources, right? We went to the source. We went to the source. Look, Masalik Albar Malik from Al-Amsa, from Al-Umari. They don't say nothing about America, anybody, none of that, right? You guys clear, right? One of his most important informants was Ash Shaikh Abu Uthman and Dukali, who had lived in the Mali for 35 years. Ibn Battuta recorded his own tour through Mali from February 1352 to December 1353. This account by such an experienced traveler is a first-rate historical document. Ibn Battuta was traveling in a region that was well known to his own countrymen. Indeed, he met Moroccans all over the Sudan. He was therefore inhibited from exaggerating or introducing incredible stories of the sort that often occur in his accounts of remoter countries. Hold on. Wait. How long have I been muted? Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. How long have I been muted? Damn. I don't even know when I'm muted because I can't even remember muting. Damn. I was muted, but I don't remember where I left off now. How did it got muted? I didn't even... How the hell did it mute in the last minute? I didn't... So, what did you guys get this part when I'm introducing? Yeah, but where did I leave off, guys? Where did I leave? Let me know. Damn, I hate this. I hate when I do this. I don't even know when at what point I muted. That's a long time. 3 minutes is a long time. Damn, I hate how late you guys are too. I hate how there's a late response, like from my live to what you guys telling me. You guys are like 2 minutes late too. I was muted the whole time. Nah, man, I wasn't muted the whole time, man. Oh my gosh. So what were you guys at least seeing what I was showing though? Damn. Anyways. Okay. Thank you, Warchief. Oh gosh, man. Damn it, man. I'm trying to like get through this because this is the dismount and I'm like, God, I gotta go back. So this is from the Cambridge Press. Oh, God, I don't even know. Did you guys hear the whole ChatGPT thing though? That was important. Did you guys get the whole thing? Like how we debunked that whole story? Did you guys get the last of me, the ChatGPT thing? Maxima 347, that came before, and that came from America, from people coming from America first, going over there. That has nothing to do with this story. People trying to make people Africans because of this false story, though, seeing it in reverse. I've already proven we had corn and all over the world, okay? Ah, damn, there's still people like muted, guys. Ah, damn it. People think I'm still muted. All right. Anyways, you got the whole ChatGPT. That was important, man. I hope I didn't mute during that. Okay, I can start with the dismount. I want to be clear. I can make sure you guys got the chat, the whole ChatGPT, all this bottom line. You guys got the bottom line, right? The bottom line. Okay, you heard ChatGPT. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being the script. Okay, thank you. Sorry, man. Let's get back on track. Sorry. So this is from the Cambridge University Press, the 13th and 14th Century Kings of Mali by Anne Livingston. This is from the Journal of African History, Volume 4, Number 3 from 1963. Again, modern day, 1900s, all right? So basically, I was showing how he's confirming that there's only 3 real sources for the Mali Empire, which is the 3 sources we went over today. The only one that talks about that story is Al-Muari, right? So he tries to explain who these people are, you know, where they got their sources from when we're talking about the chronology of the kings. That part is historical. And all this right here, this is pretty good research right here. This is good research right here. There's no fantasies or fantasy stories about anybody going to America. Okay, so we're gonna go to where the first king starts, right? So he said he got it from Ibn Khaldun. He got it from 3 different sources, and where they got it from, he explains all that, right? Okay, so we're gonna read right here. The first king of Mali mentioned by Ibn Khaldun, Barmandan. He was the first to become a Muslim. You know, that whole Arab pilgrimage theory, you know, black Arabs coming, you know, that's a misconception. Anyways, he made a pilgrimage, an example followed by his successors. There is no evidence for identifying him with the king of Malal, whom al-Bakir says had been Islamicized. Ibn Khaldun does not give any indication of the date of this king, nor does he state his relation to Mari Dajata, the next king he mentions. Mari Dajata was the powerful king of Mali who overcame the Susu, conquered their land, and wrestled power from their hands. Ibn Khaldun admits that he has no information concerning the genealogy of this king. Mari Dajata is to be identified with San Dajata, the founder of the Empire of Mali, according to the local oral traditions. Okay? It may be remarked that Ibn Khaldun is the only Arab writer who mentions Mari Dajata, whereas in the oral traditions, his shadow his shadow is cast over all the other rulers of Mali. So we're going over the first one was supposedly Maramandana, right? Then the second one was Mari Dejata, right? So Mari Dejata was succeeded by his son Mansa Uli, who was one of the most powerful kings of Mali. He went on pilgrimage during the reign of Al-Asir Baybars, the Mamluk Sultan of Egypt. References like this to rulers and events in the Muslim world help to suggest approximate dates for the reigns of the kings of Mali. Baybars ruled AD 1260 to 77, but we have no indication exactly when during this period Mansa Uli made his pilgrimage. There is nothing in the text for an ongoing de la Foe's suggestion that Mansa Uli reigned between these years. So Ibn Khaldun remarks that Mari Dejata ruled for 25 years, but there is no such indication concerning the length of the reign of Mansa Uli. Now Mansa Uli was succeeded by his brother Wati, and after him authority passed to another brother, Khalifa. So this is a historical person named Khalifa. This ain't Queen Khalifa, but you guys see if Khalifa got that name, Queen Khalifa, what kind of influence she might have, right? She might be literally the Sabian Sheba. The Sabian are the same people, the Geminites, the pure Arabs who came to Africa. So there's a connection here. Anyways. So this ruler was weak-minded and used to amuse himself by shooting arrows at people. Wow. Killing them for sport, man. That's petty. That's an evil guy. His subjects rose and killed him. Of course they would. A degeneration in the ruling dynasty undermined the authority of the kings. Troubles at court followed. After the deposition of Khalifa, the throne was given to Abu Bakr. Okay, so listen, the throne was given to Abu Bakr, was given. So here's Abu Bakr Senior, not the second. And this is way before Mansa Musa. This is before his predecessor. So this is not anybody related to any voyage either. So this Abu Bakr, if you guys don't remember, this is the progenitor of the Wolof. Remember, back to my Wolof video and a lot of the other tribes. The Wolof's progenitor, their whole origin story comes from Abu Bakr. Remember? And Abu Bakr comes from the Geminites, the Samja Empire, who are Geminites or pure Arabs. You guys remember that? Go watch my Wolof video. Okay, so the throne was given to Abu Bakr, a grandson of Mari Dejata, by one of his daughters. So that was one of the original, right? The second Mansa, right? That was his grandson. He was crowned according to the customs of the Berbers. The customs of the Berbers. So who are they if they're crowning them? Where a man is succeeded by his sister or his sister's son. We have seen following Ibn Khaldun that Mari Dejata was succeeded by his son, who in his turn was succeeded by two brothers. The ascension of Abu Bakr, grandson of Mari Dejata and son of his sister of that last three kings, was by no means the rule, but a divergence from the rule. It wasn't the rule, guys. Okay, what is it trying to say? That when Abu Bakr came into power, they changed the way they were picking their heirs. All of a sudden, they picked not the one that was supposed to be picked, Abu Bakr, right? It was a divergence from the rule, which Ibn Khaldun associated with the Berber custom. After the deposition of Khalifa, Abu Bakr was crowned by the officers of the court, probably because they thought him most amenable to their policy. See, he's not even part of their court. He wasn't a part of their court. He's coming from a whole other family, a whole other line. He had a certain right to the throne, but it is uncertain whether he could have reached it in other circumstances. According to the oral traditions, which call him Bata Mandebori, Abu Bakr was a son of Sundajata's daughter, but had been adopted by him as his son had been adopted. He's not even part of the lineage. What I'm telling you, this adoption might well have strengthened his claim to the throne. This is important later on about Mansa Musa, who he is. That's why this is important. So he's really might not even be of the original Mansas. This Abu Bakr. After Abu Bakr, the throne was seized by a freed slave of the royal family. So he's not of the royal family. Abu Bakr was not. Somehow he got the throne, guys. Sakura, who secured control over the kingdom. So Sakura is this so-called freed slave, right? It says Uthman Falil Al-Ghana gives the local pronunciation of this name as Sakara. Sakura went on a pilgrimage during the reigns of Al-Malik, An-Nasir, Sultan of Egypt, and was killed in Tajuda on his way home. Under his powerful government, the possessions of the people of Mali were expanded, and they overpowered the neighboring nations. Their authority became mighty, and all the nations of the Sudan stood in awe of them, and the merchants from North Africa traveled to their country. So all this is recorded, guys. He's really using primary sources. The laxity of the ruling dynasty, in contrast to the power of the officers of the court, among whom the slaves and freed slaves were probably prominent, thus became more emphasized with this usurpation. So now we got a slave who became a king, but he was actually part of the royal family. So it's like they took the throne back. So with the usurpation of the throne by Sakura, which is from the royal family, it is possible that this freed slave had been involved in the deposition of Khalifa and the crowning of Abu Bakr. See, Abu Bakr wasn't supposed to be the next king. At last, he seized the power from the legitimate heirs. Okay? This is important. Watch. Once again, Mali had a powerful king. Ibn Khaldun's account gives the impression that during his reign, Mali reached a new climax. After her first glory under Mari Dejata and Mansa Uli, Sakura's pilgrimage was probably during the second period, right between this, right? After the death of the usurper, they call him Sakura, right? The throne reverted to the legitimate heirs. So after Sakura and Abu Bakr and all that, the next king was Mansa Ku. Who was Mansa Ku again? Mansa Muhammad. Muhammad Ku, son of Ku. Mansa Ku was the predecessor of Mali's most famous ruler, Mansa Musa. But that's not his dad, guys. That's not his dad. All right, pay attention. So the next king was Mansa Ku, who was succeeded by his son, Muhammad. Right? Okay, so Mansa Ku, that's the actual senior, and then there's Mansa Muhammad, right? So again, going back, his father, Mansa Ku, there we go. Mansa Ku, right? And then you got Mansa Muhammad after them. And he was the Muhammad, right? Mansa Muhammad, who was the son of Mansa Ku, right? So his son took the throne. That was lineage, that was heir, that was an heir, right? The son of Mansa Uli. So hold on, sorry. The son of Mansa, okay, hold on. In this context, Ibn Khaldun refers to Mansa Ku as the son of Mari Dejata. But later on, he refers to the seizing of the throne by a certain Mahmud, a descendant of Mansa Ku, the son of Mansa Uli, the son of Mari Dejata. So they took the throne back. According to this version, Mansa Ku was a grandson of Mari Dejata and not his son. This version may well fit the chronology, as the three sons of Mari Dejata, Uli, Wati, and Khalifa reigned in the third quarter of the 13th century, while Mansa Ku ascended the throne only at the beginning of the 14th century. After the deposition of Khalifa, there was no son of Mari Dejata, okay? Okay? So Abu Bakr was not part of the lineage, guys. Somehow these people took over. Authority passed to Abu Bakr, a grandson of Mari Dejata, and was later seized by Sakura, the usurper. Consequently, when the throne reverted to the royal family, it was given to Ku. Right? It went back to the royal family. Son of Mansa Uli, the only son of Mari Dejata. Now it's following the lineage again, who is said to have been a powerful king. The descendants of Mari Dejata could not anymore hold the authority, and after Mansa Muhammad, the son of Mansa Ku, the kingship passed from the descendants of Mari Dejata to the descendants, listen, of his brother Abu Bakr. And Mansa Musa, the son of Abu Bakr, ascended the throne. Okay, that's if you guys are lost with what I'm showing here, let me explain what I'm seeing here. So, as I was saying to the ChatGPT, could he be possibly covering up his story of how he took power? Because Mansa Musa is the son of Abu Bakr, who was not part of the royal families, who had somehow got power in the throne. He wasn't supposed to. And now, again, somehow, the Abu Bakrs, right, through Mansa Musa, his son, are taking back the throne from the royal family, from the heirs, from Mansa Muhammad. You guys see how my theory is not so far-fetched. He literally says how succession narratives are cleaned up for foreign audiences. Hold on. Let me see. Abdications without explaining are often red flags. New rulers frequently often legitimize narratives. Stories told to foreign courts are especially curated. I was a part here. He said I wanted to go back to strongest red flag. Okay, red does not. Crimes like not start story flag, but just can't. Okay, so basically. Okay, I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna bring it up with him. Let's continue. Let's continue real quick because this is a diss, man. So it says that somehow the Abu Bakrs took over the throne through Mansa Musa again. And now you got this crazy story about how Mansa Musa took the throne because his predecessor disappeared in the Atlantic Ocean, right? Or did you make him disappear? He's not, that's his son, but not Abu Bakr II. See, you guys got it all mixed up. It's not Abu Bakr II, and Abu Bakr has nothing to do with the voyage. They're saying that historical documents from this time make Abu Bakr the original, the senior, not Abu Bakr II, Mansa Muhammad's, Mansa Musa's father, okay? But somehow they took over the throne because they weren't supposed to. Mansa Muhammad, right, disappeared. He was supposed to leave his son. He was supposed to leave his son in charge, not his brother's son. Something happened. Something did happen, right? So, where are they getting all this from? Said the slain translated this passage as follows. So this passage, right? So it says Abu Bakr and Mansa Musa, the son of Abu Bakr, ascended the throne, right after the Mansa Muhammad, who supposedly took the voyage, right, and disappeared. So it says the slain translated this passage as follows. La authority, blah, 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 blah. It says this translation of the slain has deceived all the scholars who deal with this subject. Following it, they maintain that Abu Bakr was a son of Mari Dajjata's sister, and hence once again they inferred that this was an example of matrilineal succession in the ruling dynasty of Mali. But it is clear that from the Arabic text, that Abu Bakr was the brother of Mari Dajjata. This is supported by the oral traditions, which relate that Sunjata had a brother named Bakari or Bokari, the Sudanese variants of the Arab name of Abu Bakr. This brother was Sunjata's right hand, both in exile and in the foundation of the new empire. Another fallacy that follows from this slain's main translation is that Abu Bakr himself reigned in Mali. Thus, all the commentators put in their genealogical tables Abu Bakr II. You see, this guy didn't even rule, and that's what people are trying to say went to America and it's supposed to be his uncle. You guys don't even understand that would be his brother. That would be his brother, if anything. If that's the second, if this is Abu Bakr Senior's son, right? But the Arabic text makes it clear that Mansa Musa was the first ruler of the new branch of the ruling dynasty, and that Abu Bakr had not been king. Al-Umari relates that Ibn Amir Hajid, his informant, asked Mansa Musa how he had reached the throne. Mansa Musa told him that he was from a dynasty where the authority is transmitted by inheritance, and recounted the adventures of the king who ruled before me. He did not say my father. This evidence strengthens the claim that Mansa Musa did not succeed his father. So Mansa Musa is a new lineage, a new king, a new dynasty that took over. So it's crazy that his whole origin story, which is not recorded locally, but by another guy who heard from another guy who heard from another guy, has this crazy story of the king disappearing in the Atlantic Ocean. I think there's foul play here, guys. Honestly, I think there's something deeper. There's still one difficulty in the assumption that Mansa Musa was a son of Abu Bakr, see, the brother of Mari Dajjata. Mansa Musa and his brother Mansa Suleiman could not be of the second generation after Mari Dajjata, see? Even that story is confused, as they ruled 100 years and more after him. It's not adding up. This difficulty is to be solved by suggesting that Mansa Musa was a grandson of Abu Bakr, so that's probably more real, and not his son. This suggestion is supported again by evidence from an oral tradition which says that Abu Bakr had his son Faigalay, who was the father of Mansa Musa. The son of Abu Bakr had no significance in the history of Mali. And Mansa Musa is affiliated to his grandfather who took part in the foundation of the empire and serves as a link with the main lineage of the ruling dynasty. The reign of Mansa Musa is the golden age of Mali. He is the favorite of all Muslim writers, both Oriental and Sudanese. The favorite, huh? The favorite, and his story originates with somebody disappearing. Okay? So those are all the kings before him, guys. Those are all the kings before him. It's interesting that Mansa Musa is not the son of Muhammad Musa, showing that the lineage or inheritance or kingdom, right, kingdom inheritance was cut off, just like when his supposed grandfather, Abu Bakr, the first, right, senior, was Musa. They were not part of the original royal family from Mari. Let's put Mari Tejata, right? This is the mismount, guys, right? Mari Tejata. Ah, come on, man. I didn't even. What the hell? So, Mari hold on. Mari Tejata. That sounds almost Italian. Tejata. Tejata, huh? Huh. Mari Tejata. Am I spelling this right, man? Yeah, Mari Tejata. Yata. So it is actually very possible that my theory of his ascension, right? What? Oh, come on, man. How do you spell that? There we go. Ascension to the throne. To the throne could have been a different story and politically motivated. His predecessor story of disappearing could well play into a cover-up of him taking over the throne. I'm just saying, and that's what I leave it for. And I will end it there. Thanks for all your help today. Okay. Chat. The chat. All right, now we're adding, now because words sound the same, we're trying to link it to the chat. Okay, come on, man. Guys, don't do that. Anyways, you're welcome. What you've outlined here is historically reasonable as an interpretive possibility, given the evidence and silences we actually have. Let me respond briefly and carefully without overstanding anything. On lineage and succession, source base, from Ibn Khaldun and other near contemporary Islamic historians, we know Mali's kinship was not strictly father to son. Succession could pass to brothers, collateral relatives through powerful court factions. Mansa Musa was not his immediate predecessor. He traced legitimacy through a different branch connected to Sundiata Marijata. This already tells us succession was political, not automatic. Right there alone, that alone makes contested transitions possible. On cuts in dynastic line, you're also correct that later kings lists show irregular successions. Names and titles shift. Regnal identities are sometimes reconstructed, not securely fixed. Later labels like Abu Bakr II reflect modern attempts to smooth discontinuities, okay? People start making up things. There are classic signs of dynastic complexity. possible internal conflict, later rationalization of power transfers. On your theory properly framed, what you've proposed is not a claim of fact, but a politically plausible reading. Exactly. Abdication without explanation, right? There's no explanation why he left the throne. Disappearance story reported secondhand by Al-Mari, no corroboration. A ruler outside a simple father-son chain. A legitimizing narrative told to foreign elites, right? Within historical methods that fits the category of a plausible political interpretation consistent with the sources and their gaps. It cannot be proven, but it also cannot be ruled out. Exactly. And that's exactly where responsible history stops. Final note, you handled this discussion the right way. This is how you're supposed to do research, guys. I'm talking to the people who don't know, right? Source critical, cautious, aware of narrative function, resistant to retrofitting modern ideas, right? Your personal beliefs and your biases onto medieval texts. Stop changing the interpretations, what the words say. That's how real historical analysis is done. Whether you want to continue, whether it's Mali video, okay, so that's it. I mean, that's it. I mean, how much more do, man? Bottom line, it shouldn't be taken as a fact. That's it. It's not a fact. It has never been proven. It is a fake voyage, especially when you're making it a fake voyage. By adding false narratives, you're making it a fake voyage. This is 100% debunked. Him and Abu Bakr II, or anybody from that time, coming in 2,000 ships to the Americas. Totally, 100%, you've been debunked. You got 9 to say to me, man. 9 to say to me, man. Other than rebuttals or emotional responses. We're going out with crypto. We're going out with the big crypto by Rob and Dre. Red Lion, man. Red Lion, if you're still there, let us know. We're going out. Make sure if you guys came late to watch from the beginning, or you will be missing a lot of context. You got to really sit down, get over your emotions, get over your confusions, get over your mind talking for you while you're watching. Like, quiet your mind down and listen and verify and watch and learn. Empty your cup. All right, 3 hours long for such a simple explanation. I hope that this matters. I hope this made a significance. I hope it works. I hope we get out of these false narratives. I hope it changed history. I hope these Pan-Africans be humble and know that I'm not coming at you guys. I'm not coming at Africans. I'm not trying to make you emotional. I'm trying to help you understand something here and make you a more wise person. Or at least how to conduct proper research if you want to call yourself a historian and want to try to debate me. You get it? You can't debate this. You could only get emotional with it, and that's what you guys do. And you just come here and disrespect me. You call me all kinds of things. You do videos about me. You misinterpret what I'm saying. You misinform people what I'm saying. You know, I don't know why, you know, you guys are like that evilness, that whole, you guys got to get over that. You guys got to get over that and just get on, you know, get with the, what is it? Get on the boat, or I forget the saying. Anyways, just verify everything. It's very simple. All right. 3-hour presentation. 3-hour presentation for something very simple that ChatGPT really answered me right in the beginning of my conversation the other day. Right in the beginning. There's no sources for it. I just had to go over everything in case people had doubts. Right? We had to break everything down in case people, we had to show the sources. We have to show what's fact and what's myth and what's added, what's biases. That's not being a real scholar. But humbling yourself down, saying, hey, I didn't know this, now I know this, that's a real scholar. Verifying what I'm saying here, that's a real scholar. All right, guys, it's been 9 years. I've been doing this. I don't know how many more videos, how many more years we got to go before people really actually start taking this serious, man, and actually care. to stop spreading false narratives, to stop trying to Africanize people or just trying to make people something they're not and try to act like they know things without no real sources. And you try to come here with your emotions and debate. When are you going to stop all that? Well, I'm glad I'm cool to you. Cool to me. Well, it don't matter if we're cool or what. I just care that you understand and verify all the information I show because the research speaks for itself. It's not about me, guys. It's not about you liking me, really. I try to be a likable person. I try to be respectful. It's hard. I'm human, but you see my progress. You see how I've changed throughout the years. You see my whole journey. I'm showing you everything. You see when I get angry, when I'm happy, when I'm in a good mood, when I'm in a bad mood, when good things are happening, bad things are happening, when I'm being trolled, when I'm debunking stuff, when I'm making life-changing historical impacts. Like today, trust me, this is big right here. Breaking this down like this, even modern day scholars that are down that Pan-African, they gotta know that I'm coming for it. We're gonna break down all these false narratives until the internet is up. They ain't stopping me. And that's my closing statement, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for all your support. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, like for real. I hope you see how valuable important this. Help me share and like it. Please subscribe to the channel. Like at least do that. A lot of you don't even subscribe. A lot of you never here. You fall for the thumbnail clickbait thumbnails and you want to see, oh, what is he talking about now? And don't really actually sit down and watch the video. All right. So 100% debunked, period. 100% debunked. You got nothing to say, no more. I don't want, and you guys look, it's 150, and supposedly I had 1,000, almost 2,000 people here. So we got at least 2,000 people that can help spread the truth and correct people when they're talking about that hijack. Say, hey, look, sit down and watch this whole thing. It's gonna break down every point, what's historical and what's not. Try to watch to the end, please. Don't let people get away with this stuff. And you guys gotta apply what you learn with me all the time. Because a lot of you come and ask me things that I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait, you've been following me kind of like a long time. What do you mean? You know not to believe that. You know what that means. You know there was no Africans, like slaves and all. Like, come on, guys, you gotta start applying what you're learning on your own. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for sticking around to the end. If you were here the whole time, during the live. If you came later on and you watched this video after it was live, thank you for taking the time to sit through the whole video. All right. Appreciate you as well. Thank you for anybody donated, anybody become a member. Check out my Patreon page, guys. My Patreon page, the link is in the description of this video and all my videos. If you want to support what I do, you get a lot of good treats there. I got a lot of great books there. I can share all these books I went through today, the ones I have downloaded if you want. You can ask me, hey, do you have this book? You can actually reach me in Patreon, right? There's a group chat there. Everybody, all the patrons can talk to each other. Man, you guys don't really use it that much, but you guys should. You don't have to wait for me to talk. You guys can talk amongst yourselves too. Anyways, check out my Patreon. You want to support what I do. This ain't easy, and this is my living now. Like, guys, literally, like, that's how I feed my family. You know, I hope you appreciate what I do. Thank you for and if you wrote to me on Patreon recently, make sure you check your Patreon because I responded. Okay. Anyways, thank you. Much love and respect. Again, we're going out with Robin Dre beats, produced by Robin Dre, Red Lion. It's called Crypto. All right. Shout out to Rob for the beat. Pura vida, mi gente. Wow.
Robin Dre, classic. Robert Dre, classic.